start recording. Um, all right. Thank you all for your support of the Book of Hanz. I'm really glad that you came to join us and that we get to play a game today. I love Fate, obviously, and I'm excited to play a game with you guys. So my first question for today's game is: is anyone new to Fate? Or like, what skill level would you consider yourself with Plate? Have you played? Have you run?
I have only played Fate 3 games, and I did the jump into Dresden as a DM for the last year.
Oh,
So take that as you will.
okay,
With a whole
cool.
bunch of people who've never played before, so we just kind of figured it out and went along.
I've been there.
So less familiar than that. I've just played at conventions.
Okay, cool. Chance, Jason.
Go ahead, John.
I have actually not played Fate. It's a game that I want to play, and one of the reasons I kickstarted the book was I was like, "Hey, I can play Fate with people." I have a heavily D&D motivated group, and I'm constantly trying to get them to try other systems. So, and I'm the kind of person that if I have to play something and then go back to the book to really kind of feel like I have any idea what I'm doing. So I'm the clueless one.
Awesome. Well, we will get you clued in, Chance. How about you, Jason?
I've played a good number of sessions and run one Chronicle in Fate, but it's been at least 3 years since I've touched it.
All right. Cool. All right. So now I know what level of Fate experience we have. So I guess my next question is, what kind of game do we want to play today? Like, what kind of genre? What kind of, like, do we want it to be serious through weird? Do we want a Western, a spy, a science fiction, um, fantasy? What kind of game do we want to play today? I don't have anything prepped in specifics. We're going to kind of build it up as we go along. Usually it takes about an hour to build up a character, and then we're going to spend the remaining time playing our characters.
I'm open to pretty much just about anything.
Yeah, I'm open to anything, but if I had to pick something off the top of my head, I would do fantasy because it's been a really long time since I played a fantasy game.
I like anything except like
Fantasy.
true horror, but I do like anything that has some magical element to it.
So something that definitely has some supernatural magical stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
I err on the side of weird. I'm not a big fan of trying to simulate life.
Nice.
Sounds
I have
good.
a couple.
Yeah, I spend too much of my time trying to simulate life, so I agree.
I spent, I think about like the 9 months before the pandemic on a real life role playing game kick. Like, I really wanted to play a MASH Powered by the Apocalypse game that I had found, but I didn't have a chance. And then the pandemic happened, and I'm like, all right, real life's right out the window.
Yeah.
We're done. So it sounds like if we went with the fantasy genre and made it magical and weird, it seems like we would kind of hit on a lot of what everybody has said so far. So I think that moving with that assumption sounds good. Um, let's see. Whenever it comes to fantasy, there are a lot of different ways that fantasy can be interpreted. So are we thinking like World of Warcraft fantasy? Are we thinking Tolkien fantasy? Are we thinking like Dungeons and Dragons fantasy? And some of the differences between these, Tolkien fantasy is really like the supernatural and the magical is rare and other, and like D&D and WoW, the magic is pretty commonplace, and intersected with daily life. Like, there are tieflings and goblins and halflings and dwarves and humans all intermingling in cities. Um, so do we have like a thought on like that kind of continuum that we'd like to do?
I love both. So I'm going to vote both.
Between
Rare
the
and
two,
common?
go ahead.
We can do that. We can find a way to make magic both rare and common, like figuring out what like common magic might be and a difference between that and magic or like high magic. Like common magic could be something along the line of like just the little like cantrips that people learn to help their everyday lives. Like a sweeping cantrip, like a stain removal cantrip, seasoning cantrip. Sorry, I'm thinking of cooking and cleaning because that's all I've been doing
Right.
this morning. Um, but it could also be stuff like, cantrips to keep a collection of nails next to you as you pluck them from the air and then hammer them in as you're doing work. And that could be almost the small level magics that people know, like the little things that help, like reading tea leaves to see if like a date's going to turn out all right, those sorts of things. But then maybe there's this bigger, more potent, like high magic that is locked away and is under the control of various groups, have control over knowledge of different magics. And so, like, maybe it's a case of, the more powerful magics are like nuclear secrets, where like you have several groups that have these secrets and they don't give them up lightly. And getting like involved with one of those groups is like a real like big decision and things like that. And that creates a divide between there being like rare magic and common magic.
Yeah, I like that idea of having like folk magic, folklore that is real, and then there's a high magic that is more of an art or a science.
Sounds good. Cool.
I can work with that. Didn't anyone do magic then? It's just a question of whether they're affiliated and know the nuclear secrets.
Yeah, I think it's a case of magic really comes down to just knowing how to do it, and the difference between high magic and folk magic is that like folk magic is something that everybody knows. It's like it's in the like public domain, whereas like the more powerful magics that have been done are more. I don't want to say regulated because that's not right, but like the guilds and institutions that control that information do so ruthlessly.
State
And so,
asset.
exactly. And so, like, whenever you have like actors who are like doing their own independent research, like that's something that maybe these organizations try to suss out people doing this magical research so that they don't end up recreating some of the big powerful magics. So. Um, Last question that relates to this before we do character building is firearms, guns. It's something that's in Pathfinder. It's something that's in World of Warcraft. It's something that is not generally in Dungeons and Dragons, and it's absolutely not in like Tolkien. Um, do yes or no on that as part of this? I vote no. Same with Jared, but I wanted to put that to the group.
I have no strong feelings, but I will go with that.
I feel like in the setup that we have, introducing firearms is kind of um, it doesn't go with the flow of everything else that we've talked about. So I'm glad we collectively decided on no. Um, all right, awesome. We're going to do some character creation. We are going to do that in Fari. If you are not familiar with Fari, Fari is Fari.app. I included a link in our Discord chat to the particular like Fari board. I'm going to share my screen to show you how to use Fari. That way, it's not confusing. Let me just find the right window to share. There we go. All right, so right now I am sharing my Fari screen with you. This is the page, this is the home page for it. Across the top, sorry, my mouse is acting weird. Across the top, there are a bunch of different options. There is characters, okay? So if you click on characters, you get this little slide out that comes out the side, okay? And you're gonna wanna click on new, okay? When you click on new, this is what you see right here, which is kind of like just a super empty thing. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to load a template, and you're going to want to load the Fate Condensed template. So why Fate Condensed and not Fate Core or Fate Accelerated? The reason for that is Fate Condensed has, I like how Fate Condensed does stress a little bit better than Fate Core. My mechanically minded like preferences are Fate Core because I like the different values for stress boxes, but I think that Fate Condensed is easier for one shot style play, where maybe not everyone is familiar with some of the concepts of absorbing stress. So you'll choose Fate Condensed. It'll ask you if you're sure you want to load that template, and it will load that template. You can give your character a name, which you can just do a. For some reason, Fari does not like me. You can give it a name, and then you'll have aspects, you'll have stress, consequences, stunts and extras, your fate points. Everyone's going to start with 3 fate points, and then there are all of the skills going down the side right here. All of the skills generally do what you anticipate them doing. If there are any clarifications or questions about what they do, you can ask and we can do that. What we're going to do today is everybody's character is going to have 3 aspects. Okay, they're going to have a high concept. The high concept is kind of like if you're telling someone about your character, it's what you generally say, like, a vain paladin. The trouble aspect is the kind of like an aspect that generates more trouble for your character. So it can be outside problems, like an assassin's guild wants to kill you. It can be internal struggles with like, personal problems, addiction, family, or it can be like anything in between. And then the third aspect is just going to be a generic aspect. You can either like tie it into something somebody else's character has or with somebody else's character, or it can just be a third aspect that you want to have to just use. You can also discover that third aspect in play if you'd like to just kind of like hold it in reserve. You can do that as well. Some people prefer that. Some people don't. Stunts, everyone's going to get 1 stunt. If you want a second stunt, you will pay one of your points of refresh, which is one of your fate points. So instead of starting the game with 3, you'll start the game with 2 points of refresh. Okay. If you're OCD like me and you want your character sheet to match up with what you're actually doing, you can click on this advanced mode toggle. And if you do that, then you can actually go in and start like editing the character sheet. So for instance, I just removed the 2 additional aspects, and I'm just going to rename this one aspect. You do not have to do this. This is just something that if you want to play a little bit, you can. And same with stunt. I'm just going to remove the other stunt there. Any questions about using Fari so far?
This is a neat site.
It really is. It is.
Yeah.
It's free?
It is.
Wow.
Renee, the guy who does it, he's awesome. He's doing a great job with it. One last thing before I start talking about Fari and how awesome it is, I'm going to say you have to save your character sheet when you make edits and changes, and that publishes those changes out to anywhere this character sheet might be. So that's how you kind of create your character. Inside of this scene right here, okay, so this is, I copied the game link and posted it in Discord. I'm going to actually post it here in Zoom as well, since we are definitely here in Zoom.
I
And
would say anything that goes to Discord, I probably won't get because I can only get it to work on my phone for some weird reason.
Discord is weird like that.
Yeah.
So I posted it here in Zoom, so you can sign in. When you sign in, you'll see that like your name, whatever you've entered in for your name to be, and when you hover over the little head here to the side, you'll be able to click on it and assign yourself one of your characters. So one of the things that Fari does is Fari manages all of the data in the browser. There is no database. Okay, so that means if you want to use this character in another web browser, like on your phone or in just a different web browser on your desktop, you'll have to actually export it and then import it into that web browser. Fari does that because they don't want to have a database to manage, given the number of games that they have. So that's kind of an overview of Fari. Actually, sorry, let me just show off a couple more things. There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down that will actually throw confetti that everybody can see. And then if you do something bad, there's red confetti. So feel free to play with that when appropriate. There is a list of characters, so I can see some of the things that are special about your character. I can click here to see your character sheet. Then there is a public window where I can put index cards, aspects, boosts, NPCs, and bad guys. There's a little private window where I can do the same thing, but you just can't see. That's where I can do my prep work. There is a zone section where you can draw. I never use this. All of my zones in the game are usually obvious enough that I don't need to actually draw a map. Pardon me. And then there's a note section that I have never used, but it is available. So that is an overview of Fari. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And it looks like we've got Chance and Jason and, we need 2 more people to log into Fari. There's Candace. Jared, how's it going getting into Fari?
I think I got it now.
Yep, there you are. Excellent. So like I said, if you hover over the little like face icon, it'll say assign character sheet, and you can create a new character sheet using Fate Condensed, and we can begin working on our characters. What I'd like to do first are the aspects. So work on your high concept and your trouble. So some of the stuff that I would recommend, writing aspects, as long as we all understand what your aspect is and how it applies, you don't have to be like a writer or artful about it. But also remember that your aspects are also doing the world building for the one shot that we're running. So that's something that you can use to help build what's going on. And I will now shut up and let everybody begin writing aspects. If you have any trouble with Fari or writing aspects, just let me know.
Do we all want to be associated with each other to begin?
It makes it a lot easier to kick off the one shot. That way we're kind of skipping the meet and greet.
And then alternately, are we taking a European bent to this, or I'd trying to figure out name wise and high concept wise, do we want to be influenced by any particular geography or culture?
I say go with whatever you'd like. I know that whenever I create characters for any of the like D&D games that I get involved with, like I usually pull from different non-European cultures, but like follow your joy. It's a one shot.
All right.
Do we want to coordinate at all? Like, my concept is like essentially wizard. Does everyone else want to play a wizard? Does anyone not want to play a wizard?
I mean, I was looking at something on that vein. So maybe could be from the same guild.
Could be. I was thinking that maybe my character was someone who actually was independently researching magic and had just recently been, shall we say, impressed. Your character could be my watcher type character, or mentor if you want to put it more nicely.
What could be interesting is if there are individuals who are non-magical by quirk or fate or what have you, they are sent to be the watchers of the magical ones because they are less affected by the effects, I guess.
Oh, so
kind of like neutralizers.
Yeah, it reminds me of N.K. Jemison's work. If you've read any of her stuff,
Yeah.
I have not.
Which one?
I can't remember which series it was.
Okay, it wasn't the Broken Earth series.
Yes, the one with the
Was that
obelisk
it?
gate and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. I think so. Maybe I'm getting that wrong.
I don't.
For some reason, I have the idea of a sad tinkerer in my head, so I could be a sad
fun.
tinkerer whose job it is to watch over people doing magical research, and I hate my job. That's why I'm sad.
Sad and angry, maybe. So do we see ourselves as primarily a bunch of magical people being supervised, or vice versa?
One thing I like is the idea that you're independently researching. Like, so Jared, you want to play a wizard who's doing independent research, and Candace potentially is either another wizard helping you out as a mentor, or could be one of these like neutralizers, depending on what Candace wants to do. But it would be very interesting if you were like doing this on your own, and part of the conflict can be like these guilds that are like applying pressure because you're doing this independent like research. Like that gives us a kind of like out of the gate problem to solve.
I was thinking about going the neutralizer route. And I'm assuming we would probably represent that in a stunt of some sort.
Well, it can also be part of the aspect. Like it could just be like, neutral. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to use the word neutralizer, but like, something along the lines of like nullifying magic could just be like part and parcel of like who you are. And so with that being true in the story, like some of the things that you do and the actions that you take will gain benefit from that.
It could be a team to go hunt down and press people in.
That puts us at odds with Jared's character right out of the gate, though.
Well, or he's kind of been wrapped into this, maybe.
I can tone it down a little bit, and maybe
or those who are
academically minded wizard. So I would be much rather, in a library doing things.
Well, the thing is,
on my own.
One potential thing that could be is that like, okay, so a couple of you were sent to stop Jared's character and maybe Chance. Like that way we've got like a 50-50 split of like people from a guild coming to stop people who are independent trying to like free information. But then there is a larger problem that bands you together. Like I'm thinking in the movies where like, you've got people who are like on opposite sides that are forced to work together because there's an even worse thing going on. So for instance, like maybe it's a case of there's a greater problem that's pressuring you together. Like maybe the person who sent the two to stop Jared did that to try and like sacrifice those two people or to set them up somehow and create like a greater problem. Like maybe she sent those two people in to frame them to make it look like they were working with Jared, and then another guild kind of like comes busting in with more forces, and suddenly it's like, oh well, there's this big setup, and like we all have to work together. That might be a bit too complicated.
Or what if magic is on the fritz?
Yeah.
Like it's randomly dropping out through the powers of a big bad evil.
I like that. Okay. I like the idea that magic is on the fritz. That could, that's an aspect that could put out there that like that's part of whatever the problem is. And maybe that's the problem that all of you are collectively trying to solve.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is figuring out why it's on the fritz and who's doing it and how to fix it. Kind of a Elantris kind of thing.
That would make sense. I can see an academically minded, independent wizard may have been researching the roots of magic, and thus might be useful on such a mission.
Mm-hmm.
So how long has magic been on the fritz? Weeks, months, years?
How about weeks?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Still we're still tip of the spear trying to figure out what's going on, maybe. Candace, do you have any idea what kind of guild, what would be the sort of concept of the guild you would be from?
The only thing I was thinking of was like the Italian, like the old Italian guilds in the glassblowing market, something like that, where it was a business as much as a city asset.
So something where they're using the magic to profit in some way to create economic impact.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
So one idea that I have, that I've had this idea for years, but I've never been able to use it. Maybe I'll be able to use it here. A conflict between the Necromancers Guild and the Enchanters Guilds, going at it, because the Necromancers Guild always gets a bad rap because they're like bringing the dead back to life. But from their perspective, they're like, we're recycling dead bodies. Like the spirit, the soul is gone. We're recycling and making it easier for people, in this. And then there's the Enchanters Guild, which is like, well, we enchant people, we make magic items, we make the world better. But the Necromancers point out that, like, yeah, but you also rob people of, the concept of consent, because you enchant people like with like love potions, you like, cast suggestion and all of these things. And it's like, really, the Enchanters Guild is much, much worse than the Necromancers Guild, but everybody likes the Enchanters Guild and no one likes the like Necromancers Guild.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could see a Necromancers Guild kind of lining up with Candace's thing, where they are actually recycling to create economic opportunity. I don't know. Or, I mean, enchanters could work too. They just sell their wares all the time or their services, and really disrupting the economy.
I was thinking the Enchanters Guild, and that they were like, building buildings and defensive, they're the military industrial complex of the fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
So Lockheed Larton is what the Enchanters Guild's name would be.
For Ethereum, the Enchanters Guild, or the Ethereum.
I used to work for Lockheed, so yeah.
Cool. Everybody thinks it's cool, but it's actually completely fucking the world. So, resource-wise, I'm trying to get rid of that here.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking whichever guild Candace decides to be from, I'll be a nullifier that's accompanying her.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the Enchanters one, just because. Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Sounds good. And so if we're doing investigations, we have to assume that the Necromancers are going to be doing the same thing. And so a nullifier came to sort of get in the way if they start flinging death magic.
Can you stop a raised construct, i.e. a zombie?
Well, I can fight it, but...
Yeah, you can fight it, but you can't. You're not going to dispel it or able to turn it like a pallet.
I mean, potentially, though, like if I could, I could put stunts in here, or, even just my skills could say that if I touch an animated corpse, it deanimates or something, Fate's pretty sort of open-ended like that.
Dispel magic and a thing or entity.
It could work like mental stress against a thing like that, Okay.
Just so I understand, you are working for the Enchanters Guild, and that represents the military-industrial complex.
That's right.
All right. You're representing the man. Just making sure that I get that right.
Yep. We are the man.
That has been an ongoing theme in all of these Book of Hanz games. Like, one of the other ones was like they were artifact hunters that basically like stole artifacts before the British Museum could get them. So instead of it going into a museum and benefiting like the world culturally, they were selling them on the black market and auctioning.
Wow. All
So
right.
there was a scene at the end where like the people from the British Museum were actually in danger, but they had artifacts, and the heroes, protagonists, were basically trying to get all of the items while all of the like British Museum people were trying to make sure everyone was safe. It's like, okay, gotcha. All right, everybody's chaotic neutral. Fun.
Just so you know, the man isn't necessarily a bad guy.
No.
Yeah, like I actually worked for
Mm.
Lockheed at one point, so it was kind of that's why it's really funny for me.
Oh, I've got a buddy here in town who actually works over at Lockheed and does work for them. So
Yeah. I am having a hard time picking between two troubles. I get paid to do crazy stuff, or I don't trust me and you shouldn't trust me either. If
so
anyone
let's
has
say,
an opinion.
what was the first one again?
I get paid to do crazy stuff, which was kind of on the magics that only the guild knows.
That feels less unique than the second one, because I feel like a lot of the people in the guild would be doing what you're doing.
Yeah. All right, I'll go with the first one then, or the second one then.
Which also adds a little bit of, from a relationship aspect, I'm aware that I'm not supposed to trust you. So I'm watching you as well as protecting you, sort of situation. Could create fun tension.
Well, I mean, the thing is Candace does have to go like try and get promoted within the organization, so she has to watch out for her.
Yeah. Let's build that resume.
All right. So how's everybody coming along? No one's hit save yet, so I can't see anything that you've done.
Should do that then.
I've written said tinker as my high concept, and for my trouble, I put hate my job. I guess what would go hand in hand with hate my job is those of you who know me, I may just flake out and walk away because I'm so unhappy with my job.
So what's your job?
I think it's working with Candace, and I'm a tinker for the Enchanters Guild. And I was thinking that the idea I have kind of bounced around in my head is I'm kind of a right tool for the job kind of a guy. Like that would be my stunt, is that if there's a problem or something that needs to be fixed, I'm the person who just kind of naturally and intuitively can figure it out and fix it. And I've somehow ended up doing this for a group of people that I'm not particularly happy that I'm doing it for.
I can kind of see a relationship between our two characters in the sense that I can imagine it as kind of a working relationship. I go to you for research implements, and maybe you poke at magical effects that you want to add to artifacts. I don't know if you want to make it like a professional thing or just so that we have some, I have some connection to this group of people other than that they all just showed up and said, come with us.
Right. We are commandeering you.
Yeah. I mean, I could almost see it just like, kindred souls kind of thing in that, or like-minded academics or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
So Chance, whenever you say tinkerer, can you unpack that a little bit?
Sounds like a gadgeteer to me.
Yeah. Well, in my head, what I'm picturing is, like the Eberron setting where there's lots of low magic. Yeah. And I'm kind of thinking of like an artificer who makes lights for everybody. You know what I mean? Like somebody who functionally does like low level things, but has kind of a knack for figuring out, especially in a tight spot, what's needed to get, what tool is needed, or what trick might get a puzzle solved or a door open.
Okay, that sounds good. That jives with my understanding too. But I wanted to ask because tinkerer could be like go a bunch of different directions. Like thinking of it in terms of artificer from Eberron is good. Okay. So Candace, one thing about your high concept that I'd like you to consider is a slight tweak, and that is maybe ambitious Enchanters Guild wizard.
Easily done.
Okay, that just because like Enchanter's Guild trained wizard is good, and we can go with that. But if we add in that like ambitious, then that kind of ties into the trouble that you have and sets like I don't know, sets more conflict. I love conflict. Um, so let's see. So Jared is independent magical researcher. Trouble is under guild pressure. Yes. Um,
I just put Chance's name because I don't know his character's name yet. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
And I just made up that name. It's not. It's one I use a lot, but it's not. If it doesn't fit our background, I'll pick something more appropriate.
You can absolutely go with Zach's tour.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. I think that relationship aspect we need to work on a little bit.
Mhm.
Chance gets what I'm doing. That seems pretty open. Can
It
you get a
does.
little talk a little bit about what you're envisioning that relationship to be like?
I'm kind of. It's not quite. It's almost like grudging friendship. I mean, I don't see either of us as the touchy-feely character types. I mean, he's sad and angry, and I'm wrapped up in what I'm doing. But I think there's some respect and dare I say it, perhaps just a bit of trust there, at least on my part, my character's part. I don't know how to encapsulate that better though.
I mean,
the
it could be
professional.
I.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I professionally trust Chance.
Hmm.
Could kind of convey that as an aspect, and also like that's something that you could use as part of like the game with Chance. But you can also like I can also see that being a problem because you do professionally trust Chance. Um, I just want that relationship aspect to just be a little bit more specific.
So let's see if I switch it to that. Hit save.
And Chance, just to let you know, you do not have to have an aspect that reciprocates that.
No.
So, so that's just something to let you know.
Yeah, you could totally hate me, and I wouldn't know it. He's kind of not focused on that.
Right.
Jason,
I was thinking internally distracted might be better than under guild pressure, but under guild pressure I think fits more with the bigger mission.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just tossed something out there, Randy. You tell me if it's a no-go.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Have you saved your character sheet?
Yeah, I clicked save. Just up in the top right corner, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
For whatever reason, it's not showing up there. Click on the little face next to your name and see if you can switch character sheets, because maybe you're not
I might have
editing
switched.
the same one.
You're right. I'm not. Huh.
Yeah, I did that originally. I had a window open. Then when we opened the window for the group, I had to close the old window and open it.
Oh, do I have to be in the same window? Because I am in two different tabs.
You shouldn't. You should be able to save it, and then if you click on your character sheet, if you click open character sheet, you should have the.
Did I click sync? No. So I should be editing it in that character sheet.
In the lower right, hold on, let me actually go to sharing my screen again.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I work in the software industry, so if there's a way to break the software, I will find it.
Yeah, I know. Like that's part of the reason why I love doing QA, because I'm like, I followed instructions and it broke. But when you hover over your card down here on the lower right, there's this swap character sheet. If you click on swap character sheet, then you should see an option. I don't know which one of these options would be.
Import?
I'm not going to.
Nope, not import.
No.
Yeah, because this character sheet is not showing up, the one I'm working on. That is so weird. I've only written 3 things. I'll start over.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, I know that Renee, the guy behind Fari, watches these videos literally so they can see how everyone deals with Fari. So hopefully he will make some improvements.
No, I mean, I probably did something wrong. All right. So here's the one that's questionable about whether it's okay with y'all. So humanoid construct with independent thought. What if I was created like Gollum style by the Enchanters Guild, and that's why I'm an Eldritch Sync?
I like it.
Does
I'm
that go
good with
against
it.
anything anyone was thinking?
You
I'm
might
good
have
with
to
it.
stop a couple of us taking you apart when you're not looking.
Or my character from treating you like R2D2.
That's fair.
Or treating him like luggage. He's just equipment. He's talking equipment.
Or maybe
What
K2SO.
is that the one from Rogue One?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
I wish I was K2SO sometimes.
yeah. I mean, I just wish I was Alan Tudyk. But
Yeah. My favorite
all
thing
right.
I've seen of Alan Tudyk was Moana, like some of the like behind the scenes stuff. Like they're talking about how he played the chicken, and he's just like, I went to Juilliard. Like I went to Juilliard.
Right. He is fantastic, though. All right, so
All right.
I populated my character now. It should be right.
Is that third aspect supposed to be related to our relationships?
That third aspect can be anything you want it to be. You can
Okay.
use it to relate to others, or you can choose not to. Like it is literally open for whatever you would like to do with that. So Jason,
Mhm.
whenever it comes to the trouble aspect, the guild comes first always. Um, we have we've got a lot of like we've got Zaxor who's under guild pressure. We've got Petra, played by Candace, who like you don't trust me or I don't trust me and you shouldn't trust me either. Um, and then we've got the guild comes first always. Um, let's So what I'm thinking, and you don't have to change this, like the guild comes first always, sounds good to me. Um, I'm just thinking, like, what if your construct had some kind of like glitch or power requirement or something that, like, oh, you know what it could be? Like the guild comes first. Um, uh, Something about obeying guild commands.
Mm.
Petra is the one who would be like in charge of this like mission, and
Sure.
so like you follow the letter of commands, and so that creates problems when Petra doesn't give you the right like um uh like the right parameters for things. Like you do have independent thought, but you also
Hmm.
have to like obey what you're told, and maybe you have maybe your trouble relates to interpreting those orders.
Okay.
I'm not trying to make you like goofy or anything like that. I'm just thinking like ways to like if Petra says like defend us while we escape or stop them while we escape. You might interpret those orders as I'm not escaping either,
Hmm.
and then that generates additional problems.
Okay. So thinking about that a little deeper, I like that idea. Thinking about it a little deeper, I wonder if there's also like a sort of prime directive situation going on too, where to create some tension between me and the other characters, thinking, if we can't trust Candace, they would send me to make sure that she's going by the directive as well. And so something along the lines of obey guild members um, unless they countermand the directive or something like that to keep her honest, sort of situation.
Well, I mean, it could be the Enchanters Guild's 3 laws of um, humanoid constructs. Um, uh,
You mean Asimov's laws, literally, right?
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that could work, but that can be complicated,
They're very complicated. Yeah.
particularly when you're ordered to sacrifice yourself. Then you got to do all those interesting.
Well, I mean, the trouble could be guild law programming, and that would actually open up, like, that we would have a collective understanding that would mean that, like, you have to listen to what Petra says, but it also is like um, if Jared's character Zaxtor, demonstrates that he has like knowledge that he shouldn't have, and Petra isn't doing a good job of like taking care of the situation, you might like your programming might come in to countermand that.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is getting really complex.
Yes. Yes.
What if
Yes.
let's change this a tad, make it include a little more global tension rather than our personal. What if the way these constructs are animated and given independent thought is through the souls that the necromancers are not using? And so there could be some pollution of that process if necromancers learn how to control souls as well as bodies. So there's like this overlap between necromancy and enchanting, which is the soul and the mind and that sort of thing. And that could be an interesting trouble in and of itself, and have something to do with the magic being on the fritz, where these two opposing magics are actually kind of joining in the center. And that's less programmatic then. It's less like I'm a computer, and it's more like I'm a spirit trapped in a body.
So what kind of like spirits or souls would the enchanters put into these constructs? Like, would the enchanters be looking for souls that wouldn't be missed, souls that would be like worthy of like not letting them go on to their like final destination until they were done being used? Would it be volunteers?
I think it's debtors to the guild. They have to work off the debt. Which is just even more evil and awesome. The necromancers gotta hate that, right?
The trouble aspect being indebted soul would be pretty good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's do that.
All right. So let's see. Going to Zaxtor, independent magical researcher who is under guild pressure, and you professionally trust Osel. All right. I think those aspects are good.
Okay.
All right. Petra, ambitious Enchanters Guild trained wizard. I don't trust me, and you shouldn't trust me either. And it's sometimes necessary to do a little evil in order to do great good. All right. The ends justify the means. Cool. Jason is a humanoid construct with independent thought, powered by an indebted soul, and is an eldritch sync with a penchant for violence. Sounds awesome. Ossel is a sad tinkerer who hates his job and would rather be workshopping. Let's unpack that would rather be workshopping part. Because I think that like there's a lot of duplication between that and hating your job. Right. Like I don't think there's going to be like a lot of opportunity for you to go workshopping. So I think kind of unpack what you were thinking with that, or any other like maybe alternate ideas you might have.
Part of it was with Zaxtor, he's an academic. I would rather just be off studying someplace and reading a book than, having to pay the bills by working for a corporation that indebts people's souls to pay off debt. Like the more I've learned about my job, the more I'm like, wow, I don't really want to be doing this anymore. But I feel like I don't have any other opportunity.
That's it. The more I do this, the more I want out. Could be what
I love that.
Is. Like,
but I have to keep this job or I don't have insurance.
That definitely overlaps with like hate my job, but I think we can work with that. All right. So I think our aspects are good. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do skills. Skills are relatively easy. I'm going to type in the what you get for your skills right now into the Zoom chat. That way everybody can kind of see that. Let's see. Yes, that's correct. All right. So everyone for skills is going to get 1 skill at +4, 2 skills at +3, 3 skills at +2, despite the fact that I wrote 4 of them, and then 4 +1s. That is the worst. Hold on, let me type it in again. So
there are decidedly worse things, I promise.
There you go. All right. So a 4, 2 3s, 3 2s, 4 1s. Basically, it makes a kind of a pyramid shape if you think of it in terms of like stacking. As far as choosing skills, you can choose your skills in play if you want to, or you can start assigning them and leaving some of them blank. Sometimes I've seen people, they'll pick their 4s and their 3s and then leave everything else blank until like the time comes to roll something, and then they're like, oh, turns out that I'm much better at physique than I thought. It's a +2 skill. That is perfectly legitimate. It is not cheating. It is not metagaming. It is perfectly fine.
What would we say would be the core skill for magic? I was thinking maybe lore or will, based on what
That
you
is
normally.
that is a
I
great
was
question. Oh, go ahead, Candace.
yeah, I was debating that myself. I was thinking will was maybe like power and lore was know-how.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the question that we have to ask ourselves about magic is, do we want magic to be something that is funneled into a particular skill, or do we want magic to be something that is uh, as part of other skills? So for instance, if you decided that you wanted to become invisible so that you could get past the guards, would you want to roll lore or will to cast invisibility and then be invisible? Or do you want to use the stealth skill, presuming that your magical abilities in stealth are good, and tie it to that independent skill? That way, there isn't a the big difference between them is if there is a magic skill that is going to be at your 4, you're always going to do all of your magic at a +4. Which, while that sounds good, it also has the potential to be a little bit boring because suddenly you're enchanting people, becoming invisible, casting fireballs, all at +4, and that's really uneven compared to some of the other characters. That said, um, using skills means that like if you're really good at like charming people, then obviously that would be was it rapport would be the skill to use for that. So I put that question forth. Do we want to focus on a magic skill or two, or do we want to have magic be part of skills that you're using?
I like magic as narrative permission in general, and then you just use skills regularly. But that'll be a challenge for my character because he's probably going to be really good at academics, and I'm not sure what my academic combat spell is going to look like.
Well, the thing is you can always take a stunt that
Yeah.
says like I can attack using lore, whenever like I can attack using lore with bolts of magic or magic missiles, if you would.
Yes.
Of the two options, I like it where, and maybe this is because I've been playing Dresden too much, where it's magic is the flavor text, and then depending on how you use the magic, you use different skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
I mean,
Oh.
sorry. Yeah. I mean,
No,
that's kind of what I was thinking. Is that depends. The skill would depend on the magic. So if I'm making a little construct that's going to run in and see what's in a room, that would be like crafts. But if I'm going to cast a spell that allows me to jump. You know what I mean? Like, and then we might use different skills. The magic enhances the skill in some way, as opposed to being its own thing.
Cool. All right, so we're in agreement. There is no magic skill, but magics are expressed through the skills that you use.
Okay.
I think I'm good on skills.
Cool.
That was quick.
Physique.
Did you
fight,
define them all?
shoot.
I noticed physique and will don't affect stress. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. Is that a change in condensed?
Yes, I do
Okay.
believe so. Let me open up another window that's not being recorded and just double check that. Turns out it does impact it. So, yes, if you have a physique, your physique is at a 4, you get 3 more physical stress.
Okay.
3 more, like, 1 check boxes.
Okay. Oh, so I should probably change that in advanced mode, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Then let me look at anybody else's.
Did you say 3 more 1 checkboxes?
3 more 1-point check boxes.
Okay.
Is everybody done choosing their skills?
I picked my 4, 3, and 2, and I think I'll let the ones to be determined.
That is good.
I also picked 1 stunt, and I took out a fate point so that I could add another one in play, if that's okay.
That is okay. Jason, because of your will at +2, you get 1 extra checkbox on mental as well.
Okay.
Candace, because of your will of 4, you get 3 1-point checkboxes under the mental stress track. You'll have to edit that in advanced mode.
All right, give me just a second.
No rush. And then Jared, Zach Store, your will of +3 gives you 3 more mental stress boxes, 1-point stress boxes.
Okay.
I just added my 2 skills.
Alrighty. Cool. So Jared, you said that you've got a stunt. Can you use a lore to attack when using magic? Yes. All right. After you're done with the skills and adjusting your stunts, or adjusting your stress, we're going to do stunts. Everyone gets 1 stunt for free. You may pay for a second stunt if you would like to. You You don't have to. And you can always, as long as you've got a free fate point during play, if you decide that you want to write a second stunt during play, you may. Again, that's not metagaming. That's just something you can do. If you need some help with writing a stunt, I am happy to help.
Yeah, I don't have I guess I'll look at the SRD. That will help.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the under Atomic Robo. I'm going to paste it into the chat here in Zoom. The Zoom chat window keeps disappearing on me. That Atomic Robo page that I just posted on the Fate SRD is a pretty good breakdown of like creating stunts.
Cool.
It's one of my favorite breakdowns for writing stunts. And in addition to that, if you want, you can just talk through like, I want a stunt that kind of does this thing, and we can write it.
We talked earlier about having a stunt to neutralize magic in entities. Did you still want to pursue that, or are you looking for something more conventional?
Ooh, interesting. I like this have a signature aspect thing with the Eldritch Sync, being able to apply it once per session for free.
Yeah. The flip side is whenever the GM compels that aspect, they have to offer 2 points instead of 1. Mm-hmm. However, should you want to refuse it, you have to match the GM's offer 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Mark with an asterisk. Yeah. That's absolutely something you can do.
The other one might be personal hardware, would make sense. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take personal hardware to represent having a metal exoskeleton.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Is that going to make you armor 2 or weapon 2 or?
I think it's armor 1 and weapon 2.
Oh, okay. Sounds
because I picked 2 from that list.
Yep. And it can be the same one twice.
Oh, it can.
It can, yeah. The examples above, armored jacket, is armor 2. So yeah, you can pick them twice if you'd like.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll do armor 2.
Sounds good. How's everybody else doing?
I think I'm set.
Now you said you were choosing a second one, right, Jared?
I said I'd like to do that in play, if at all possible.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Don't reduce your refresh until you buy the stunt.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, that. you need to have a fate point to do it. So if you hit 0 fate points, you can't have a stunt, like create a stunt, because your refresh will go down. But as long as you've got 1 fate point, you can say, hey, I'm adding a stunt. Here's the fate point to deduct it. If you want to, you can pull it from your fate pool early, but why reduce your options?
Makes sense. Let me save that. I think that's it then.
Excellent. Chance, how are you doing?
I'm trying to figure out, because I have this idea of right tool for the job, but I'm trying to figure out how that actually works mechanically with a stunt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways that could be represented. Like it could be like once per scene, you always have like what you need. So that means like in a scene, if you need like a vial, you have a vial on you, or if you need a like some kind of like piece of equipment, you have that piece of equipment on you. Um, so that's one way that it can be handled. Another way, like with the right tool for the job, it could be like whenever you're like doing a create advantage action with crafts, towards in a certain situation, you get an extra free invoke on the aspect created to represent that you've got the right tool to do this job. And so that is in create advantage. Another way is in overcome rolls. Like if you're trying to overcome a challenge by having the right tool for the job, you could also like just get a +2 to overcome rolls using crafts. So there's a couple of different ways that this can be kind of set up.
Okay. Let's do the +2 to overcome rolls, and then I can add another stunt related to it if I need to in gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. +2 to overcome rolls using crafts. And I don't think it needs to be narrowed down any further than that. All right. Candace, how are you doing with your stunts?
Too many to choose from.
Awesome.
I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go, and if I want to put it as an attack or if I want to do something more interesting.
I always choose to do something more interesting than rather just making something an attack, but that's just me. I like to drive my characters like they're stolen cars. So it's like
something that could be fun is getting a +2 when using rapport to, convince somebody. Just enchanting spells, essentially. Suggestion.
One of them that I'm looking at is, do you know who I am?
Is that under intimidation?
Once per scene, you may identify yourself in order to get a +2 to contacts, deceive, provoke, or rapport roll.
Oh,
wow!
I like that.
Yeah,
it's very
ambitious big guild person. Excuse me.
Yeah. But that also leaves her not very good in a fight.
Sounds like you've got a couple of other folks that are good at fighting.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And the thing to remember too is that whenever it comes to fighting, create advantage is like the special sauce.
Yeah, there's a tutor one that I'm also looking at. Spend an hour tutoring somebody, and then they get a +2 advantage.
Yeah, but is Petra really a tutor kind of person?
I don't know yet.
She has a lot of stucco on her, so we got a little bit of a tutor house thing going on.
Where do I find the create advantage rule?
Create advantage is one of the actions you can do with just about any skill.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where it's at in the SRD.
bunch of different places.
Yeah.
One thing that I will mention that sometimes I forget to explicitly mention, whenever it comes to like skills that can attack or not attack, I am of the mind that circumstances sort of dictates that. Um, I know that using stunts to be able to attack things or attack is an important part of that too. So, like for instance, using lore to attack is definitely a stunt. Like with like to physically attack is a stunt, but using lore to like if you're in a conflict where the conflict is whether or not someone's maybe their thesis paper is good or not, and like that's the conflict, then attacking with lore is definitely a thing that could happen, and that would be more of a mental track sort of thing. So depending on what the conflict is, will set kind of the tone for what skills will be able to attack with those things. Like, because I'm a big fan of using the Fate Fractal or the Bronze Rule for oh, well, the Winter Storm is your opponent and you're in a conflict with it. So it seems to me like, with the exception of Candace, who needs a moment to figure out which of the many good stunts. Oh, you're good?
I just picked something, so we're just going to go with it.
All right. Laser-like focus. You find it easy to clear your mind in a stressful situation. +2 to create an advantage with will related to concentration, willpower, or clear thought. Very nice. Cool, cool, cool. All right. We now have everybody's character. I'm going to request that we take about a 13-minute break for like bio to get something to drink. I'm also going to plot out, what we're going to do between now and 4 o'clock and play the game. So it is 1:17 Eastern, my time. Let's meet back at 1:30. That'll be 13 minutes.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. See everybody back here shortly. All right. Okay. Everybody still happy with their characters? Or did anybody make any changes during the break? All right. Great. Who's ready to game?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Awesome. We are going to start from an odd location. So basically, just to kind of reset the stage, we have the city that we're in, which so far is unnamed. It is a fantasy style city where there's a lot of like little tiny magics. There are two major kind of guilds, organizations, industries, companies within this city. One of them is the Enchanters Guild. The other is the Necromancers Guild. They go by many names throughout the city. They've got all sorts of different fronts and organizations and politicians representing each side, but large and small of it is that there's the Enchanters Guild and the Necromancers Guild. They are both at odds with each other. Lately, in the last couple of weeks, we have seen that magic has begun to go on the fritz. So like spells and magic and like things that have been set up with magic spells that work regularly, like the enchanted lights that come on, the street lights. They have been, out for off and on throughout the days and nights. So their dependability has been kind of called into question. Sorry. And like being able to cast magics. Whenever magics have been like tried to be used, occasionally they will fail and go on the fritz. In fact, I'm going to put out an aspect on the board to represent magical fritz. This, of course, is something that is causing great concern amongst both the Enchanters and the Necromancers Guild. They are both working to try and solve what this problem might be and what could be causing it. So far, no one has any idea. And because magic is so important, it's almost like air in this world that it is very important that this happen. There was an independent an independent magical researcher whose studies into like almost like meta magic, if you will, like theories about magic, not about necessarily magic itself, who seemed very likely to be able to help the Enchanters Guild. Unfortunately, was basically kind of captured before the Enchanters Guild could capture him, and thrown in jail. That individual's name is Zaxtor. So the Enchanters Guild, having raided Zaxtor's place after the Necromancers Guild got there, realized that they were playing second fiddle and that they were going to have to try and remove Zaxtor from the equation, or at least from the Necromancers Guild side. So where we find ourselves right now is that the Enchanters Guild has sent some of their most talented uh, uh, operators to go and retrieve Zaxtor from the Necromancers, who have who knows what they have done with him. Is he in a dark dungeon? Is he being treated well in a palatial palace? Who knows? It all depends on if Zaxtor is working with the Necromancers or not. But the big thing is that that Petra, you have been assigned this mission. Your person in the chair, if you will, is Ossel, who obviously does not want to be there, but is definitely the right person to do this. And you've also signed out a piece of equipment that goes by the name Edward von Gerst, who goes by Ed for short. I'm sorry, I made a presumption, Jason, that like it would be okay that you were treating like a piece of equipment. Is that cool with you?
Sure.
Okay, great. I sometimes make assumptions whenever I give my boxed text, if you will. But
turns out you're human.
Yeah. Oh no. I try not to be. I'm more subhuman, really. So I've got a couple of questions that I have to ask all of you as players, and then we can kick this off. The first question I have is, Zaxtor, the Necromancers Guild came and basically told you that you're working for them now, and they're taking all of your research. Does this make you happy or sad? Are you agreeable to it, or are you kind of like Dr. Jones in Indiana Jones the third one, where suddenly it's like, oh well, your son Indy's going to have to come and save you because you're not working with the Nazis.
The value of independent research is evident to the smallest of minds. You can't interrupt me in my work and take me away from it. So I am sad and angry.
All right, great. So Zaxtor is not working with the Necromancers Guild. So the next question that I put out there, which can be answered by anyone except for Jared, is where have they put Zaxtor? Where are they keeping him? Is it a dungeon? Is it a laboratory? Is it just stuck in a room? Or something else entirely?
I think they put him up in the equivalent of a grand hotel to try to woo him. Just here's all of your stuff. This is a really nice room. You've got servants. You've got, anything you could possibly want. Are you sure you don't want to change your mind before we throw you in a dungeon?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And they may be starting to take away stuff and do the good cop kind of bad cop thing is starting to show their other side.
Okay. Well, one thing that the Necromancers Guild has done there is that they've separated Zaxtor from his research because they want to basically kind of convince him to work with them, and so they're definitely cutting him off from his research, and they're trying to convince him to do his thing. Candace, you mentioned that they're starting to be a little bit bad cop with him. What have they done to be bad cop with him?
What is his favorite book?
If I were a necromancer, it'd be the Necrocomic. That's something to say.
Because I feel like they just set it on fire.
They set my favorite book on fire.
I think even worse than setting on fire, they start making copies of it to disseminate amongst their own.
Oh, now that is beyond the pale. That is blasphemy.
Oh, just playing off of that, maybe it's since they raided your place, they're actually pulling excerpts from your personal journal, and they're preparing a hit piece for you in the local paper. Like they're pulling your personal journal. Well, like in the local paper, they want to undermine you and say like, oh, these are like the private like problematic thoughts of Zaxtor. They basically want to undermine you as a person.
Wow, these guys play hardball.
Yeah.
And these are the good guys.
Yeah. Okay. So now what, oh goodness. Someone tell me what this grand hotel room looks like. Like what's in it besides like, like maybe like a 4-poster bed. Anything interesting or of note? Chance, you've been quiet.
I'm kind of thinking of a kind of a Gilded Cage situation. So he's an academic, so he's not going to be like a boiling alchemical station. So are they wanting him to do research, or are they just trying to pressure him into coming over to their side? Does that make sense?
They're pressuring him to work for them because he currently refuses to, because he believes in the value of being an independent magical researcher.
Right. Well, I'd say there's a buffet of his favorite food in one corner, and so it's a suite. There's a bedroom, and then there's another room that has couches and food and maybe a place to lounge and relax, and then also a desk where if he were allowed to read, if he decides to come over to their side, he could be provided with his favorite sources of literature and study. But until then, it's just going to be an empty desk.
All right, that sounds good. All right. I will also say that there are 2 dog skeletons that are sitting there, like right next to the double doors that enter the hotel room, and they literally sit there, still as statues. Zaxter saw them go into place whenever he was brought in, and they have not moved in the almost 24 hours since. So sitting there just kind of waiting and watching him. All right. So this is the scene that we find ourselves in. Candace, you are leading the mission to get Zaxtor out of this so that you can basically do the same thing to him. All right.
I wouldn't do the same thing. I would do better.
Perfect. All right. What's the plan to get him out?
Do we know where he is?
Yes. You're within the Enchanters Guild. They've found out that he is at this grand hotel, and that it is a hotel that is a front for the Necromancers Guild. So you can expect resistance inside. But near as what people know about the hotel, it does not have undead butlers or anything like that. It's all staffed, as far as the public knows, by people. But you know that it's a front for the Necromancers Guild, so you will not be surprised if you come across necromancers or stuff they make.
Well, I feel like going on the means justify the ends. Perhaps starting a small fire or building collapse to drive everyone out of the hotel.
All right, so you want to set the hotel on fire to get everybody to exit. All right, that sounds good. How are you going to go about doing that?
Well, we have a tinker here, so does he want to build a fire bot to kind of go in and like start a fire somewhere?
I could put together a little automaton that'll go in and set fire to the drapes in a couple of prime locations. If that's what you think is best.
And then maybe we can watch the fire exits for people coming out and grab them in the chaos.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. How many exits are we talking about here?
I'm going to say there are 2 exits.
Okay.
That you know about.
That we know of. All right.
Master, I am compelled to let you know that it is unlikely his door is unlocked, and therefore he could be trapped in the blaze.
Does he have a window?
Yes. You'd have to do some reconnaissance to try and find out what room he's in.
So why don't we do some reconnaissance, and if we set the blaze, we can grab him from his window before the rest goes.
So is the building multiple stories, or is it?
Yeah, I'd say that it's 4 stories tall.
Okay. And is it the kind of place where the public can go in and out of? And
yeah, the first floor.
The lobby
yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, you can do that. I'm sure that they've got like a restaurant there as well, a fancy restaurant that you could, go and get some food if you want.
And are there stairs, or are there some kind of like magical elevators that take you from floor to floor? Or
you all tell me. Like, is this like Magic Eberron, where like there are magical lifts that go up and down, or like for sure there is like an incline of ramps that go around to go up, like a combination of like ramps and stairs. But whether or not there's an elevator, I leave that up to you.
I feel like there was an elevator until it fried.
Oh.
Broken
elevator.
Broken elevator. Perfect.
So step 1, we go and get a meal there and see who's coming in and out. See if we can find somebody to follow.
Sounds good. Now, are you all collectively going to follow this person, or is one of you going to kind of like go in, have a meal, and try to do this serendipitous, stealthily?
I feel like a person eating alone is less stealthy than 3 people eating and then 1 person breaking off.
Yeah, that can happen.
How person-like is Ed?
I don't eat.
I'm sorry?
No, just appearance-wise, how person-like?
Oh, very person-like,
all right.
Clothed, but up close, probably, it's not skin. It just looks like skin, sort of situation.
Okay. All right.
Just put a hat and glasses on him. It'll be fine.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, just a hood or something. No one ever
he's my
looks
servant. He's not a person.
Right.
Just keeps lifting an empty spoon up to his mouth.
Right. Well, if he's like a big metal thing, we go into the restaurant, they're gonna be like, "Hey, look."
Yeah, but there are diversity of peoples, like like purple skinned tieflings, halflings. Like, it's not unusual for someone to be like, okay, so we need the extra wide, heavy chair for the half ogre. So
also, humans will pack bond to literally anything.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can check the registry to see which rooms are reserved. He would likely be in one of those. I should not be the one to ask.
I put some ranks into deceive for obvious reasons.
All right. So tell me what you'd like to do, Petra.
Petra is going to go up to the register and say, I have a friend who I believe is staying here, and this is the third hotel I've been to looking for them because the address they wrote down got screwed up in the transmission because things are weird right now. And I was wondering, do you have a listing for a reservation?
That is true. We do have listings for everyone who is staying at the hotel.
And I was wondering if perhaps you had those listings by name or perhaps a company ID?
That is true. We've got them. What is the name that you are looking for?
His name is Zach Store.
He consults the book and says, "I'm actually roll your deceive for me. You can click on the skill and then hit the word roll, and that should roll it for your character there." Oh, snap. I didn't even set a difficulty, but that is a 6. Um, I was going to set the difficulty at like a 3, so that puts it at success with style for overcome. Um, he tells you there is no one by that name staying here. But you manage to get a view of the book as he's kind of like going through it. And you recognize a name of kind of like a necromancer, kind of like roughneck, listed for one of the suites. And so based on the names, you think like that is that is the suite number that Zach Store would be in. So, so basically, you have now confirmed the suite that Zach Store is in.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Just out of curiosity, which way's the fire exit plan? I wanted to review it because I'm going to have lunch here, and I'm very scared about things happening. Elevators have been going out, lamps have been setting random spontaneous fires, that kind of stuff.
The magical Fritz has been it has been hell on the business. The magical lights that we have, the stove. It has been nothing but a problem. I hope that one of the guilds, probably the Necromancers Guild, will solve this problem soon. I'm willing to bet that it is the Enchanters who are creating a problem using. Anyway, yes.
It's probably both of them working together. That's what I read on in the newspapers.
That is, they don't work together. That is foolishness.
That's what they want you to think.
Oh, I see. I do not read the QAnon papers. So so sorry. Here is you can see over there is the fire exits. They are clearly marked. And so, like, you've got an idea of the fire exits and everything.
All right. And I am sure you're using non-magical means to cook today, correct?
That is, we do have the non-magical backups now. This has been going on for several weeks. We managed to get some of the gnomish inventors to make some things for us, and then after they broke, we had them fixed, and now they work right.
It seems. I would be careful. Magic is being weird, and she's going to exit to go meet up with the rest of the party.
All right, Zaxter. You are in your hotel room. You've got 2 skeletal dogs just staring off into space. But they've been doing that for hours. You've snapped your fingers in front of them. Nothing, no reaction. But you do notice that when your hand goes for the door handle, their heads like kind of slowly start to look at you and take notice of what you're doing. So you are under the impression that if you try to leave, that might be bad.
Got it.
I don't know I'm not sure what you'd like to do. There's plenty of food. There's the buffet of all of your favorite food.
Is there anyone in here with me at the moment haranguing me to join up, or am I just me and the
No,
dogs?
it's just you and the dogs. You've been kind of like left alone for a moment.
I think he would probably, even though it's not particularly useful, he'd probably try to engage the dogs. See if if you can talk to them. I'm pretty sure they won't respond if they.
No. Nope. The only reaction that you get is when you reach your hand towards like the door. That's the only time that they like respond or react.
Okay. And if I start to make motions as if I was going to cast magic missile, do they seem to be at them? Do they seem to react to that?
No.
No. Interesting. If I were to like grab a ball or something and try to play fetch with them, will they interact? Will there be any? Just trying to test them. Nope.
Nope.
Probably high level automatons with no actual dog spiritual matrix elements.
Nope. These seem to be like basically kind of like programmed, animated, undead.
Okay. If I like try to put stuff to block their view of what I'm doing, do they react?
It depends. What are you going to try and do?
Oh, let's start with something simple, like I don't know, like a clothes rack. It's got, I don't know, some of my clothes hastily grabbed, and I'll just like put that in front of them so they can't see what I'm doing when I'm by the door.
Okay, I'm gonna have you make an overcome roll. This sounds like physique as you're moving furniture in
Sure.
front of like the dogs. I'm gonna set the difficulty for this at a 3 because this is a fancy hotel, so the armoire is going to be very heavy.
Okay, this isn't
So
going to go well, but let's see what happens.
probably not. Go ahead and click on your skill and hit the roll button, unless that 1 was what you rolled.
I haven't done a real roll yet.
Okay, all right.
So let's see. Do I need to bring up the character sheet to do the skill rolls, or
No, if you see the skills that are just like right on like the character cards
I
in
don't?
the kind of middle.
Do I have to go characters? Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
At the
And then if you
moment,
click on,
I don't think I've set physique as one of my skills. But it's going to be a 1, I think. So
sounds good.
do I have to change the character sheet to do that, or just roll it and how do you want to work that?
Just roll it, and we can add a 1 to it, and then when we're not talking with you, you can update your character sheet.
Okay. So let's see. Do I just click on it?
Yeah, you click on the skill and then hit the word roll in the lower
Roll.
left-hand corner.
I just saw some dice pop up. That's not quite right.
No, don't hit the dice. You'll want to hit the word roll.
And I don't see it. So I did something off kilter.
I tell you what. Let's see. I'm gonna. Oh,
now there it is.
oh you got it?
Now. I got it now.
Okay.
No, it was a good roll.
I don't see the roll.
Oh, fudge. How did that happen?
You clicked on Osel's sheet.
I didn't think so.
Oh,
weird.
It showed a roll for him.
It does though.
Yeah.
Now I'm confused. Let me try one more time.
All right. Now you rolled it for Ed.
I didn't actually even hit a button at that point.
That was me.
Oh,
that was me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Nope. This is so annoying.
Yeah, Zaxter's mine has like hyperlinks. Well, that's because never mind. Because I'm not controlling this character. I figured it out. Ignore me.
Finally.
There you go. You got it, Zaxter.
So it's
That's
plus 2. Yeah,
Yes.
that's not enough.
No, but you do have fate points.
I do,
So,
yes.
Zaxter, do you want to use an aspect to justify spending a fate point to succeed? Or, since it's an overcome, you can succeed at a cost.
Let's, for giggles and grins, let's try succeeding at a cost. Maybe I strained something and get a little stress.
Let's see. So you're trying to like basically kind of like push over a giant like armoire or something to block the dog's view. You know what? I know exactly what we're going to do. So you push over the cost that I'm going to propose is that you push over the armoire, and it kind of like tips over on its side and collapses, but it's on like the narrow side, so that you've got like a decent wall between you and the dogs, and they can't see you anymore. Um, and you don't hear them moving or anything like that. And you're like, oh. Um, but you kind of like look over and you see that like the candle that had been lit got like tipped over into the trash can, and now the trash can's on fire, and the drapes are about to catch. Um, so uh, so that I think is a good cost.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right, great. Let's go back to the dinner party. All right, dinner party. You know all the fire exits and what room Zaxter is in.
Would you like me to collect him and meet you outside?
This seems the best plan.
Which floor is he on?
He is on the fourth floor. He's in the penthouse.
So, would it be safer to have Ed and I pretend to be elevator repair people, and that we're going to take a look at the mechanisms for the elevator on the top floor, rather than immediately going to the fire plan, just in case that goes terribly wrong? And then I'll attempt, if there are guards on the fourth floor, I can attempt to distract them while Ed does his Ed thing and retrieves the target.
I was actually thinking, since you know the target, you should definitely go in case he needs convincing to come with.
Okay.
So my thought is that we're going to resolve this as a challenge, which what that means is that we're going to kind of, it's almost like a montage where we like, describe what happens, make an overcome roll, describe what happens, make an overcome roll. And each of us, can do that. How we're able to get to Zach's store and get him extracted and safely away from the hotel. Um, so it sounds to me like the very first thing is that you want to get up to the fourth floor and try to basically go to his room and take care of any guards that are there. Is that the first step you're doing? Or Chance, are you going to set a fire um, as part of your first thing?
My Ursel wants to try to pretend to be a repair person to get to the fourth floor and look at the elevator mechanism to see if maybe there's something wrong with it. At least that's his cover. And then once on the fourth floor, reevaluate the situation from there and decide whether sneakiness or fire is the better option.
Okay. So you take you're trying to get to the fourth floor. You're going up the stairs, which are also like a combination of stairs and ramps to get up to the fourth floor. Um, it sounds like Ed is going with you. Is that true? Okay.
Yeah.
And you want to talk your way past the guards, pretending to be elevator repair people. That sounds like a deceive to me. That's like a combination of like putting on appropriate like work overalls and talking your way past them. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 4 because you're going to encounter a guard, or actually a couple of guards who are like, I'm so sorry, but the fourth floor is off limits. There's a VIP up there.
Okay, I'm going to in the process of doing this, the phrase I think of is I'm going to try to word salad my way past them. Basically pull out tools and throw out a bunch of technical terms, and maybe name somebody in management that sent me here, and do you want to deal with them? And who do you think you are, questioning a professional like myself? It's below me to even have to deal with you. They called me, I didn't call you. I'm here to help. So. And I have all my ones. Well, I don't know if I'd have a point in one, but I don't think I'd have a point deceive, so I'm just going to roll deceive as it is. And
All right, we'll go ahead and roll deceive as it is. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 4, like I said, because they're trying to prevent people from getting up there. Oh, that's a 1. That's not too bad. Now, this isn't overcome, so you can choose to succeed at a cost, or you can spend some fate points. Or you can just fail and try another approach.
I'll succeed at a cost.
All right. The cost is that they're going to let you buy, but they're not going to let both of you buy.
Okay.
So, Ed, you're going to be stuck on the 3rd floor.
At the stairwell
also, you
or something?
What's that?
Just like at the stairwell?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. So, also, you managed to, work your way up to the 4th floor. It sounds like Ed, you're going to need to figure out a way to get up to the 4th floor, or I don't know. How are you contributing to extracting Zach's store from this situation?
Well, I know the suite number, and I can see on this floor where say it's suite 416. I can see where 316 is. So I will go around a corner to whatever I think the floor is below, or the suite is below him, or the room below him, and see if that is occupied.
All right. Let's see. So how are you approaching like the suite being occupied? Are you trying to like just knock and listen if somebody's there, or like
Yep.
you knock and you don't hear anything from inside?
Okay.
The door is shut and locked, but no one has answered.
Are they physical locks?
Yes, they're physical locks.
I will open it.
All right. I say with your physique, you're able to kind of like crack the door open pretty easily and get into the suite. The door is obviously broken, but you're not going to be here very long.
Yeah. Not too concerned about it.
Yeah. So you're now in the suite that you presume is underneath Zach's store's suite.
Okay. I will go to the window and then climb up to the window above.
All right. Give me, that would be an athletics for, is it athletics or physique for climbing?
I do not know.
I think it is athletics.
I prefer it be
How
physique.
good you are.
Do I get a choice?
No. Athletics is about how good you are at moving your body. Athletics allows you to overcome any obstacle that requires physical movement, jumping, running, climbing, swimming. So it is athletics.
All right. So you didn't set the difficulty, but I rolled already.
That's
real good.
Yeah, I was going to set the difficulty for that at a 2, which that is a failure, unless you'd like to start spending some fate points or succeed at a cost.
We're doing a lot of succeeding at cost, which is always the most interesting thing. Let's do that.
All right, sure. So you manage to climb up, and you're outside the window, and you just see like just flames shooting up from the curtains and the desk that prevent you from actually getting into the suite. So the cost is that you're outside of this, but for some reason the room is just ablaze. Zaxter, the desk has caught fire, the curtains has caught fire, the dogs can't see you, the armoire is tipped over. What would you like to do?
He's going to basically say, hope that they're visually checking on me and not with some kind of proximity spell, and then go to the door and try to open it.
Well, they're beside the door.
Oh, they're beside the door.
Yeah, the dogs are beside the door.
So I've blocked the door, but the dogs can't see me.
That's right.
But I've set the drapes ablaze, so probably jumping out the window would be a wee bit challenging.
That's correct.
Damn. Okay.
But there is a knock on your door.
There's no other ways out of here, are there? Like there's not like a dumbwaiter or anything like that?
Yeah, there's a dumbwaiter.
Uh-oh.
It'd be a
Can't hear
tight
you.
fit, but there's a
We lost your sound,
oh,
Randy.
there's a dumbwaiter. It's a tight fit, but there's a dumbwaiter.
Good enough. Let's see if I can actually get down that.
I'm going to set the athletics difficulty of 3.
Okay.
I'm
Just
being
squeeze down the
proactive and
dumbwaiter.
knocking on the window.
Do I
Yeah,
see
you
a
hear
fist
that?
hitting the window?
Yes.
Hmm.
You see a silhouette of a person outside.
Huh. Anyway, I can. Maybe a good
Fire
time to try to
mitigation
use
unit.
magic.
Fire mitigation unit, please open the window.
There's a chamber pot.
Fine. Let's pour some water on this and see if I can get to tamp down enough that he can get in.
All right, give me a shoot with a difficulty of 2
Sure.
because you're
Okay,
aiming the water from the chamber pot.
that's fair.
Water.
Water.
Be
Well,
clear.
close enough for
Not
our
water.
purposes here. All right, let's make sure. This is Zaxter. Click.
All right.
Shoot is actually something I have it at 2 because I imagined
Nice.
him occasionally needing to defend himself given guild pressure and other things. It says roll. I roll. Nope, wrong one. Try again.
All right, that is a 1 against a difficulty at 2.
But
So do you want to spend?
it's 2 actually because there's +1, right?
No. It's giving you
no,
the
it's-
total on the left.
Yeah.
So it's 2 versus 2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. Your dice equaled
That's one.
equaled -1, and then +2 made your total result +1,
Oh, got it.
and the difficulty was 2. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I am going to invoke independent magical researcher from the grounds that I'm probably throwing a little fire suppression magic in there.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that. Go ahead and spend a fate point, and then
Okay.
you will succeed. The fire goes out. It wasn't a very big fire, but it was a big fire, but with the fire suppression magic, you take care of it. The fire goes out, and you see on the other side the fire suppression unit hanging off the window there. Good old Ed.
So I'm gonna open the window as quick as I can and say, "Oh, thank goodness you're here." There seems to be a bit of a problem.
You seem to have taken care of it. Can I come in?
Absolutely.
I'll climb in.
By the
No
way,
guards.
you should be aware of the fact that there seem to be a couple of skeletal dogs in here that I'm not quite sure what their intentions are. They are just on the other side of that armoire.
Oh, so I slam into the armor and squish him against the wall.
Make a physique roll for me. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 3.
I like those odds.
That is a
Nice.
5. Yes, you hear the bones crush against the armoire. Yes. Also, you hear on the other side of the door that is the suite that you were going for, like there's no one on the outside. You hear this slam and you hear bones crunch from the inside.
I hasten my way to the door and open it.
You see there's an armoire blocking the door.
I knock
Password.
on the armoire.
Password required. Password required.
I say, Zaxter, friend, I'm here to get you out. What exactly is happening in there?
Parcel identified, and I'll just move the armor out of the way. I said password.
I raise my eyebrow at Ed.
I take it this is an associate of yours?
Yes, we work together.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to leave. These people have been extremely unpleasant.
I close the door and start looking around the room. So there is a dumbwaiter, but it's small.
Yes.
I'm not even sure I could get myself in there, much less your friend.
I can lower you to the ground.
But what about you?
I will jump or climb.
Fascinating.
I could make a winch, so we could put ourselves into, the word is escaping me, but a harness. That's it. The word is a harness. We could put ourselves in a harness and lower ourselves down more safely. When you came in from the outside, Ed, did you notice if anybody was guarding the outside of the building?
I'll look down. Civilians, no guards. If you can lower the coefficient of friction, I can easily lower you down.
Okay. Well, I open up my little tool bag and look around the room and see if I can fasten kind of a brace and a winch and some harnesses for myself and Zaxter to make it quicker and safer for Ed to use his physique to assist us in our escape.
Absolutely. You will be able to do that. We're going to cut over to Petra. So Petra, you I presume that like you're confident in these two kind of going and extracting. What were you going to do as part of helping out here?
So I'm assuming that she took a position in the restaurant where she can see the kitchen door.
Yeah.
She's ordered a glass of wine and a glass of water and some food.
Mm-hmm.
And she's watching this action. Kind of concentrating on the glass of wine and using it as a crystal ball to sort of watch what's going on upstairs.
Okay. That sounds good.
And as soon as she thinks they're ready for a major distraction, she's going to flick some of the alcohol from the wine into a candle that's lit on the table to try to flare up a fire in the kitchen.
Yes, but before you do that, I'm offering you a compel.
Mm-hmm.
So Petra, sometimes it's necessary to do a little evil in order to do a greater good. Because this is a necromancer's like hotel, you see that there is a mid-level like necromancer named Remo, who is like just renowned for like his cruelty. One of those things that like, almost dead is close enough kind of situations. And you know that this would be a good win for the Enchanters Guild if you were able to basically like slip into like the restroom behind him and kill him and get out.
What is he doing right now?
He's going into the restroom.
Mm.
It's a single single occupancy restroom. That if you act now, you could be able to slip in with him and basically like just assassinate him, like in cold blood, and possibly get out while the others are extracting Zaxtor. Would you like that compel or not?
I will take that compel.
All right, go ahead
but
and
it won't
add
be a slip in. It's going to be noisy.
Okay. Oh, fair enough. You've got an opportunity to take him out. I'm going to go ahead and add a fate point there, Petra. How are you taking Remo out?
So she's going to walk over to the restroom with her glass of wine and pretend to be a little bit drunk and spill some of the wine onto the restroom door.
Yeah.
Walk herself back to her own table. And it looks like they've made contact at this point. With
yes.
So she's going to use magic to use and ignite the wine on her table to ignite the restroom door and kind of link the magic together and create a large explosion.
Ooh, okay. That sounds great. That sounds like, goodness, what skill would that be? Demolitions. We don't have demolitions.
Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, it totally is. In this instance, I'm going to call that one Will.
Okay.
In this instance, I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 4 because you're trying to create a big explosion enough to kill Remo. So go ahead and give that a roll, Petra. That is a 4. With an overcome, that is success at a minor cost.
I would spend a fate point on that one.
Okay. What
Put me
aspect
over.
are you using to justify that?
Sometimes it's necessary to do a little evil in order to do a great good.
I mean, you're literally spending the fate point I just gave you to do that. All right. That's fine, but we've established what kind of person Petra is, so I feel good. All right, go ahead and spend your fate point. That takes you to success. Um, at this point, Ossel, you've managed to create your winch and lower Zaxtor down. Zaxtor, you and Ed and Ossel have managed to get out of there. Same with Petra, and reconvene at whatever location you predetermined to meet up at. So you have successfully extracted Zaxtor from this situation.
Be a good place for us to meet.
Probably not my lab, which is where I'm trying to go.
Do you have resources, Ossel? Chance?
Yes.
I bet you have a shop, don't you?
I do. I have a workshop.
Would we meet there?
We could definitely meet there because I would say that my workshop is as private as I'm allowed to have it be from both the Enchanters and the Necromancers whenever possible. So.
Does that work for everyone?
Yeah. Now, is it a private shop or is it a public shop where people can come in and order stuff?
That's a good question. My assumption was it was a private shop until you just asked me. And now I'm like, well, I don't know. If I work for the Enchanters Guild, I mean, would it be a violation of my contract to have my own independent business, or would I? You know what I'm saying? Or would I?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. Maybe that's part of what you're doing is having your own independent business. I tell you what, actually, why don't we? Hold on, Ossel. I'm going to offer you a fate point on. The more I do this, the more I want out. A lot of you had agreed to meet somewhere, but whenever you guys kind of gathered to go there, you were still being followed by some of the necromancers forces kind of chasing after you. The closest, safest space is your shop that the Enchanters Guild doesn't know about. Your public shop.
Right.
So that means that you're basically revealing to Petra and Ed that you have the shop that you're not allowed to have.
So here's my question. Knowing the potential fate for Zaxtor with the Enchanters Guild is basically the same as the fate I just rescued him for. And I like Zaxtor, and I don't particularly like my job, and I don't want to give up the modicum of anonymity that I have. Could I convince Candace and Ed that we're still meeting at the originally planned place, and then that it would be better to avoid our followers to split up, and then I take Zaxtor to my private space?
No, the fate point is that you reveal that you have a private shop. Otherwise, if you pay me the fate point to decline it, so it's going to cost you a fate point to decline it,
right.
Then you meet up at your meeting place and we'll figure that one out. We avoid that entire complication.
Okay. I'll take the fate point to reveal my secret and just play out the consequences.
All right, so you do have a public shop that's basically you've been using to earn money to try and get independent. Jason, what part of town is this shop in?
Oh, wow. Tinkerer. I think my guess is that the Necromancers have a lock on the docks because they have all that cheap dock working labor, dead bodies and all.
Yeah.
And he's got his shop in the dock area where he purveys his services to a lot of the, not intentionally, but accidentally, to the necromancers to earn extra money.
Sounds good to me. All right. Jared, why don't you tell me about this shop? What's like the specialty of the shop? What does he sell to all of these like dock workers as part of being a tinkerer with his minor magics?
I think little things like not quite like exoskeletons, but little gizmos and gadgets to help you lift things or to take the strain off your back or things like that. It also helps them compete with undead labor.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, lifting strain. Okay, sounds good to me. And Candace, why don't you tell me what's the name of the shop?
Pump and iron.
Pumpin'
PUMP and iron.
Iron. All right. So all of you go into Pump and Iron. The attendant who's there whenever Ossel isn't says, "Oh, Ossel, it's good to see you. I see that you brought friends. I've been taking care of the shop. Do you want me to punch out, or do you want me to keep taking care of the front here?"
You continue with your business as usual. We've got some business in the back. I nervously kind of shuffle into the back past the attendant.
Sure, sure. And the attendant is like, I've got like a bunch of like different like orders, some custom orders. When do you want to talk about these?
Later. We'll talk about them later.
Sure, but I can tell you that like and then the attendant mentions a dock working front for the Necromancers Guild. They really want they really want some like reinforcements for like some of their skeletal lifters, because some of the turns out some of the older working undead that they have, the bones have started to become brittle. So they're looking for some reinforcements, and then of course the human dock workers also want like some of those like jacked lifting like things, exosuits that you make. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
All right, thank you. I appreciate your hard work.
Also, I have to admire your ambition in this unregistered business. Is it?
Well, it's just a business. It's just an honest business.
I see that it's just an honest business. If you work with me, we could leverage it in a more appropriate means.
What do you have in mind?
Keep the front, sacrifice the name.
Sacrifice the name.
Sacrifice the reputation. Good metal's hard to get. Sometimes things just break down.
Well, let me think about that. I've put a lot of time into building this business. Let me think about. Let me weigh the pros and cons for my own future.
Yeah, I understand. It's good to put some thought into it. I will, of course, have to, make sure that it's in my report or not.
Right.
How about?
Right.
All right. Zaxter, what is your response to all of this?
So at the moment, he's gone over to a shelf and he's eyeing one of the exoskeleton units, and you can see that he's just sort of pondering over it, distracted. But once it gets quiet, he just looks up and says, "Can I go back to my lab now?"
The lab is under the direct supervision of the Enchanters Guild.
Your
lab is under the direct supervision of the Enchanters Guild.
I thought you had rescued me from the Necromancers, so that I could get back to work now.
Yes, we did.
You have a better lab at the guild.
Under our protection.
That's what the Necromancer said.
They're liars.
And they're
Hey,
the
Ed.
only liars?
Hey, Ed. Yeah, they are the only liars. Hey, Ed, I'd like to offer you a compel on the aspect that we have going, which is magical Fritz.
Okay.
Okay. And if, as a group, we don't like this idea, like, as a group, we can veto it, but I think that this would be a good scene that could potentially, like, bring us all together a little bit more. I'd like to offer you a compel on that there is the magic kind of like goes on the Fritz. Like we watch as like the exosuits and all of the different things inside of Pump and Iron just kind of like power down, the lights go off. And this time it actually affects you, Ed. Basically, kind of like disengaging whatever magic is kind of like powering you, which kind of sets off like there's oh um, kind of like a mechanical safeguard within these humanoid constructs that if like the magical control is broken, which is the circumstance that we're in, um, whatever magic is separating two chemicals stops and the chemicals begin mixing, and if they mix too much it will cause an explosion. So basically like it's a fail-safe for these constructs so that if the Enchanters Guild loses control of them, that they will self-destruct so no one can kind of like, work backwards from their creation. And so what the compel is on this magical Fritz is that you are potentially going to explode unless the three people who are here fix that situation.
Okay. Can I add to that it also
Yes.
removes some of the locks that are keeping me from saying things that I might say as myself?
Yes. So like
Okay.
you can't control the body that you're in, but you can still use your like your voice as a disembodied spirit. So
Okay.
yes. All right. You like that fate point?
I'll take it.
All right. I just gave it to you.
So, all right.
All right.
In the midst of explaining that the Enchanters Guild would be the best place for you to go, my jaw stops moving, body just goes slack, but still upright, and you hear a disembodied voice saying, "Finally!" Can you hear me?
Certainly. Who are we addressing?
Yes.
Oh, I'm Ed, the real Ed. I might not have very long because we're all going to blow up. Someone needs to fix this body, and I'm guessing we've got, maybe 3 minutes. That's going to be rough. All that said, if I do blow up, I'll probably take the entirety of the docks with me, so maybe that's good for the Enchanters Guild. Ooh, why did I say that? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Not much I can do. I'm just going to sit here.
All right. I grab my tools and move quickly to his body and open up what I assume is his chest cavity, where the kind of magical alchemical workings are that power him, and that I probably have at least a vague understanding of since I work for the Enchanter Guild.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed. You kind of you pop open his chest, and you see that in order to get to the cage where this thing is, there is a 5-digit number is required to get through, and this is something that Petra knows because she's the one who checked out Ed as a piece of equipment for this mission. So Petra knows that code to get in there.
So Petra 1 is going to enter the code, and while she's doing that, she's going to start drawing a wiring diagram for Ed. Like their super secret, how is this thing wired diagram, so that they know what to do and try to create the advantage of has the schematics.
Yes, but this is where I'm going to offer you a compel, Petra. You are an ambitious Enchanters Guild trained wizard. Revealing the code for this one is giving information that Ossel shouldn't have. I mean, he's got his own shop, for Christ's sake. Then the fact that like you're actually, even if you let him do that, he's going to understand the inner workings of this, and he may be able to create that, which means that he's going to be a problem. So it's almost better that like these fritzes don't last very long. You've got a feeling that the fritz will go away before he explodes.
So I don't like that.
Don't like that compel?
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, I'm willing to do it, but I don't like it.
Well, I like my compels to be. I like my compels to be hard. I mean, you can pay me a fate point to say no. I'm going to help out and have things not.
I will take the fate point, and Petra's going to say this is classified information, but perhaps you can walk me through some of the more technical aspects. And see, she'll like shove them away and open it up on her own and be like, okay, I've got 3 wires here. Which one should you got?
Yeah, so basically Zaxter and Ossel have to be on like behind Ed and have to talk you through this.
The great thing is Ed is going to repeat all of everything she does to them so they hear it. Because Ed is an indebted soul that does not want to be in debt anymore. Is that possible, or can I not see what they're doing?
Well, I'm gonna say that you can't like really spoil it too much. You give Petra is giving them just enough information, and you're kind of like giving them a little bit more, but it's not going to be like enough that like they could recreate it or anything. So yeah, you can totally be like, no. That was there are 2 blue wires, not just the 1 blue wire. So what does the other blue wire do? Huh? So something like that. Okay. So yeah, good stuff.
The other thing I can do is say, so Petra, while you're in there, you could just disconnect the piece that connects me to the body. We could let the whole thing blow up, and I could be free, and I'd be in your debt then.
Petra would like to say, we've been working together for all of a couple hours, and I feel a true connection to you. What I could do is disable this one little connection and let you speak when you want to speak every once in a while.
Well, that would be against the rules. And that doesn't help you nearly as much.
But doesn't it? You would have to, I'd need to know that you have my back.
Nah, I'll just stick with the way it was. The guild's probably better for me than you are.
All right, what's the next thing you're doing? You can hear the chemical drip, 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 drip from inside.
I'm wondering if I would have a lead-lined box for just such an occasion. Either push Ed into or for me to dive into to be safe from the explosion.
No. Unfortunately, you do not.
It feels like there's a which wire to cut roll type of thing. Is that what I heard?
Right.
And what it sounds like.
Yeah, and it feels like that this wouldn't be something Zaxter would take the lead on, since this is pretty practical stuff, but maybe he could. I'm pretty sure there's a way in Fate that you can aid another character in their role.
Yeah, you can, as long as there's kind of a justifiable reason, and you also have at least +1 in the relevant skill, you can actually use a teamwork bonus. So in this instance, it sounds to me like it's going to be crafts seems the most likely skill here, because you're trying to communicate like what you're trying to like, what will lead to safety. Does that sound good, Oslo?
Yeah. I'm tempted. Is there a way I can justify right tool for the job for this to get us out of this tight situation in the event that
this indeed would be an overcome roll using crafts.
Okay. So, yeah,
Isn't Candace making that roll though?
You know what? Candace would be the one making the roll. So it sounds to me like Ossel is creating an advantage to like good instructions to help Candace or Petra make this crafts roll.
So on the down low, I've been over the years working for the Enchanters Guild, sneaking glances every time I have the opportunity at the schematics for the automatons like Ed. Not specifically like the soul trap aspect of it, but the mechanical and chemical aspect of it. So my hope is that vague knowledge that I have of the way the automatons work would help with knowing what it is that Petra is looking at and describing to me. Um, so, so I guess do I roll and that roll affects Petra's bonus, or does Petra just
No,
get
you're
okay.
what you're trying to do is you're trying to help Petra do this successfully.
Right.
Like that's
Okay.
the narrative, that's the story that we're telling.
Yeah.
The way that we're representing that mechanically is with create advantage. So you're going to create an aspect like, good instructions or something along those lines. You're going to use crafts to do that. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 2.
Okay.
Because this is something that you're very good at, and you're providing instruction based on what she's told you.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll a crafts Ossel. So
that is a +2 to it since it's overcome.
This is actually a create advantage and not an overcome. So unfortunately, what I originally said was mistaken. But that's a 4, so that successfully creates the aspect. Is good instruction good, or do you want to have another name?
Yeah, good instructions. Yeah, good instruction work.
Is there any chance we could say that I was able to provide that teamwork bonus, and perhaps we could get a success with style?
Do you have crafts at +1?
I have it at +2.
Okay, then I will say sure, we can do that. But I also have fate points as the game master, and I haven't used any yet. So, I don't know. That's not cool. I would like to. I'm going to spend one of my fate points. I'm going to use the aspect Indebted Soul from Ed. All of the talking, Ed, that you're doing is distracting from what both Zaxtor and Ossel are saying, and so making it harder for the instructions to be understood. Like, maybe that's not your intention to do that, but because you are kind of like, what's that? It's not?
Oh, it is not. I do not want to blow up.
No. So, but you're doing that, you're talking is making it difficult. So that brings us back to just a single invoke unless somebody wants to spend a fate point. Which is
Did I ever tell you, Petra, how it was that I became indebted? It's a really long, sad story.
I would like to spend a fate point against that. Actually, sadly, I think Petra would normally fall right into that line.
What aspect are you using to justify counteracting that?
I'm going to use her high concept on that.
All right.
And be like, what's his name? Ed? Shut up before you blow up. And be very pull out the commanding voice on him and see if I can get him to stop talking. And then otherwise you're going to get everybody here killed.
All right, spend the fate point, and I'm not going to ante up any further, so I will add that second free invoke to good instruction. Excellent. All right, so Petra, you're in the process of doing the things that you're being told. You've gotten Ed to be reasonably quiet, and now you actually have to do it. I would like a crafts roll, a difficulty for this of 5.
Ooh.
It requires delicate work and expertise.
Ooh. All right, we're just going to do
you are not a demolitions expert.
No, I am not. All right.
Yeah.
So here's the base roll.
Do you have a stunt you can do or anything first? And I asked like, can you sub in magic for the crafts roll in any way?
Why is my stunt not showing up?
They don't show up on these little sheets.
Oh, okay.
The stunt laser-like focus.
Focus,
Clear your mind in a stressful situation. If you wanted to, we could. You could try to create an advantage before this roll, which will stay at the -1 that you rolled. If you want to create an advantage related to concentration, willpower, or clear thought, because obviously you are going to need to concentrate on this.
Yeah, I would like to try to create that advantage too, because we're going to need it.
Sure. I'm going to set that difficulty at a 3 because of everything that's going on. So go ahead and roll will against a difficulty 3 to create that advantage. Oh, that is a +1, which is not sufficient to create the advantage. So you can either fail or continue to spend fate points. I don't recommend continuing to spend fate points, but this is your scene.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend the fate point on creating this advantage.
All right, so the crafts roll that you made was at a -1, which is a 6-point spread against the difficulty of 5. You have 2 free invokes on good instruction, which brings the gap down to 2. You can spend 1 fate point on good instruction, and that will take you to a success at a minor cost.
I think that's what we do. Success at minor cost.
All right, spend your fate point on good instruction. And then, all right, you successfully stop the chemicals from mixing together. Now to come up with a good minor cost. The minor cost is that Zaxtor, in the middle of all of this that's going on, Zaxtor has taken advantage of that really intense moment and has left. It's a minor cost because you know where he's going. He's going back to his lab. So, yes, you successfully disarm, and now Zaxtor is missing. Is that okay with you, Jared? You're muted.
Sorry. Yes, that's perfect.
All right, great. So, yes.
And if a construct can look sad, I definitely look sad.
Till she orders you not to.
And then, 3 seconds after you've done that, magic comes back, and all of the things inside of pumping iron power back up. Ed is back to his programmed self, and all is right with the world, except that it doesn't look good that you've lost Zaxtor, but you think you know where he's heading. Zaxtor, you get to your lab. I presume it's a lab. Is it a lab?
It's definitely a lab.
All right. What part of town is your lab in?
The cheap section of town.
The cheap section of town.
So it's not as I was going to say you can't leave your car outside unlocked, but that's not quite.
Yeah, don't leave your horse unlocked.
Yes. You would definitely be looking around as you walked around this neighborhood, but it's not completely run down and chaotic. The police might even show up if you gave them 30 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Chance, why don't you tell me what the Necromancers Guild did to his lab?
Well, you're more of a scholar than an experimenter, so they've knocked over your bookshelves and gone through your journals and taken some of your personal journals and information, and maybe even some of your books, knocked over your chairs, just as a little extra thing, because they're jerks, they do this kind of thing. So everything's disheveled. Your bookshelves are kind of leaning against each other against the wall, and your desk and your chairs are knocked on their sides, and some of your personal journals are missing.
Bastards.
All right, Jason, why don't you tell me how does Zaxter access the secret part of his laboratory, the part that the Necromancers did not find?
Okay, so his secret part is his little shop is attached to a stable, and the stable is not particularly nice. It smells pretty foul. It's never very well cleaned. Aren't often very many horses in there because in the crappy part of town where nobody can afford a horse, that sort of thing. And so there is almost always free access through an old manure covered floor in the back of that stable that goes to, so it's like between the stable and his shop is another shop that it can only access through the stable.
All right, and Candace, what person is what person is in the secret laboratory whenever Zaxter goes in from the Necromancers Guild? Somebody who's going to be threatening Zaxter whenever he gets there.
His ex-wife.
I was actually thinking of one of his neighbors who's tired of the experiments that are going on, and they want to blackmail him to get leave.
All right, let me pull a random name for the neighbor. Let's see. I love fantasy name generator. All right, so Zaxter, you go through the manure covered floor to get to your secret laboratory, which the Necromancers did not find, and you are quite relieved that nothing seems to be out of place. But sitting in your most comfortable chair in your laboratory is your neighbor Fakir, and Fakir is like, Zaxter, we've got a problem.
Yes, you're sitting in my favorite chair.
This is your favorite chair?
Absolutely, it's the most comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It really is. And he kind of puts his feet up on the desk, and he's just like, Zaxter, we've got a problem. This isn't a great neighborhood, but the fact that a bunch of people came and raided your house, and kidnapped you tells me that we've got a problem. When my 9-year-old son told me that he saw you walking, going down a secret door through Manor, I thought that he was just being a kid. But after the folks who came and raided your house, I came to take a look, and it turns out that you have this wonderful secret location underneath here. I think this used to be a wine cellar from the previous owner. So what I'd really like is for you to move, because there's all sorts of loud noises and creepy sounds and smells that come from your house. We've talked about this a lot.
We have?
Yes. Zaxter, we talk about this all the time. I tell you about, listen, I saw green lights coming out from your home. And you're like, oh, it's okay. It's just a new kind of light that I'm making. Listen, I have children next door. I smell sulfur. I smell all of these horrible things. The time that you caught the roof on fire, there's still a tarp where you have not fixed the roof on this building.
It's probably going to catch fire again. There's no point in fixing it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Zaxter.
So who are you
Whatever.
again?
But um,
You look kind of
this
familiar.
at this point, Petra, you and Ed and Ossel all managed to arrive at Zaxter's place. The secret door is still ajar because Zaxter and Fakir are having this conversation. So you kind of see like steps leading down into what is obviously a laboratory that was missed by the Necromancers.
Well, Petra's going to make her way through there and listen in on this piece of conversation and say, Zaxtor, I
You
mean, we could
again.
easily help with this problem.
And how would you help?
Well,
By
we have another
relocating me
lab
to a secure guild facility?
for as long as you need.
I do not need to be in a secure guild facility. I thought we had this
Yes, he
conversation.
does. Yes, he does.
You stay out of this.
I have in the stable up there is a horse that's missing hair on its entire backside. I don't know what Zaxter did to it, but I know it was your fault.
Who are you again?
My name is
Yeah.
Fakir. I'm the neighbor.
How long have you lived here? Why have I
Longer
never
than
seen you
you.
before?
Oh my god.
Zaxter is a valuable guild asset. It is important that you leave him alone. Shall I escort you out?
Yes, I think he needs to be escorted out.
Yes,
Not that I have.
are you okay? Take him to a guild stronghold somewhere.
I'm
Like
going to snap my fingers and do a little bit of muting magic.
Fakir storms off.
Okay, with whoever that is taken care of.
Zaxter, you have now officially entered into a verbal contract with the Enchanters Guild by accepting my assistance on escorting him out.
I didn't accept assistance. I merely ordered you to do it.
Correct.
That does not imply acceptance of any conditions.
It does, because in the conditions I stated that because you are a valuable Enchanters Guild asset, I will be helping you.
I want to snap my fingers again, but I don't think it'll work so well this time. Okay. Now, if you people are done, I have work to do, and I need to get this place cleaned up.
What kind of cleaning do you need to do? We could arrange for that to be taken care of.
Zaxter,
I'm just going to start waving my hands. As if
well,
not listening.
the thing is in the secret laboratory, which is where the bulk of your like actual work is. Zaxter, you were very close to finding a way to divine the source of this magical fritz, and you basically think like if you were given like a couple of hours to work on it, you could actually solve and find the location of the magical fritz. What I would like to do right now is for us to take a 10-minute break so that we can stretch our legs, get a drink, do anything bio if we need to. And then when we return, we will, Zaxter, you will know how to, we'll make rolls for you to figure out how to divine the source of this problem. And then we will get to the source and find out what's going on and resolve it because we'll have about an hour left of play. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right. I hope everybody's having a good time so far. Your characters are amazing.
Fun. Thanks.
All right. Great. Let's meet back here in 10 minutes. That will be 6 minutes past the hour.
Cool. Excellent.
All right. Everybody ready to keep going?
Yes.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Pardon me. Given the time that we have, I'm, if I can talk, one of the prerequisites for GMing, I guess. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think that's better now. Sorry about that. All right, so I had stated before the break that Zach's tour, we're going to do a roll for you to find a way to divine what you needed. I'm going to skip on a roll, given that I have a hard stop around 4 o'clock. So I'm so sorry. Something's not the best. I'm going to go ahead and skip that roll so that we can get to something a little bit more exciting. The conclusion. All right. So, Zach Store, it takes you a couple of hours, and you pretty much kind of put Ossel to work helping you. And between the two of you, you're able to make decent work of finding a way to divine the source of these kind of magical outages. So you create like a series of small devices that you kind of like place around in your neighborhood, and then the next time the magic like fritzes, once the magic is restored, you kind of bring them back together, and you're able to kind of like triangulate like a location, a source. So it takes you probably the better part of like the night. You guys are doing like throughout the day. You manage to create the devices. Throughout the night, you're able to find the source of this. Petra, this is part of the reason why the Enchanters Guild wanted Zach's Store. And so this is kind of like a boon to you to be able to find like what the source of this problem is and bring him back and report. So if you, Candace, are in agreement with that, then we can just kind of keep going, or else we can. Okay, good. Again, I don't want to railroad anyone. I have to fix something.
Okay. Sorry, my headphones literally died. So, ran out of power. They didn't die. Anyway, so, yeah. And of course, now I don't hear anyone myself. Let me fix that. All right. I should be able to hear you now. Someone say something for me? All right. There we go. All right. So, Zaxter, you bring these things together, and like, part of the length of time that this takes is waiting for these magical outages. They are irregular. So sometimes they may be a few minutes apart. Other times they might be the better part of an hour apart. But you do manage to triangulate on a location. The location is the Whistling Frog Storage Warehouse. Okay, this is a large like series of buildings that function as kind of like warehousing for businesses that come through. So it is on like one of the stretches between the docks and like the main kind of market district. So it kind of like goes between those two. This particular like location in the city isn't really like run by one or another guild, because despite the fact that the guilds have a lot of power and influence in the city, they don't actually have control over every square foot of the city. So this is a part of town where it's like, if the Whistling Frog storage warehouses are owned by one of them, it's unknown to you. So it's probably an independent sort of contractor. Which is probably for the best. So what I would like to know is these warehouses. There is something unusual about the warehouse, and I'd like to know what's unusual about their warehouses. It could be an architectural detail. It could be like, maybe they've got extraordinary doors to be able to let in different size kind of things. I don't know. What's unusual about their warehouses?
Nothing magical about them.
That there's nothing magical about them. That is good. Okay.
In fact, one of my assistants once had the bright idea of going there and trying to sell some of our equipment to them. Since it's a warehouse, clearly they move things. They had no interest. The level of lack of interest that was actually notable, their lack of interest in kind of mechanical or magical assistance.
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. Now you have, how are you approaching these warehouses? Whatever you're looking for is in one of these warehouses. You're not sure which one. The triangulation, like, really pointed here, but without, like, it's hard to get more specificity because you'd basically be placing the devices like around the buildings. And there are guards who are kind of like walking around security, human security, well, humanoid security. So,
is it possible to monitor or analyze the movement of those guards to see if there's any central point or thing of interest that they're trying to guard?
You could certainly do that. That would be a notice. As you're, well, actually, that's an investigate because you're trying to look for a pattern like over time. So go ahead and make an investigate. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 2.
Okay. Sorry.
That is a -1 on the roll.
Real bad roll. I will definitely.
Can spend a fate point. You can.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think being a construct would allow me to help with analysis, so I'll use a fate point for that.
That would take you up to a 1.
Yep. And then. I wonder. So, does it matter? Does that gap of succeeding when you succeed at a cost? Does the gap of difference matter?
No, it does not.
Okay, then I will not use that fate. I will succeed at a cost.
Sure. All right. So succeed at a cost. I'm going to say that the cost is going to be that while the Whistling Frog storage facility eschews magic, they don't eschew traps. And so Ed, as you're kind of examining what's going on and trying to kind of look for and establish a pattern to find a kind of like core area, you see that there is a location that you can actually get a good look at where the guards are, like a decent vantage point from like a nearby like building. You kind of climb up the side of the building, and at the top of the building, you get in position to where you can see all of the guards. Well, apparently this warehousing company is smart enough. They own this property, and you get yourself caught in essentially a bear trap. You stick your foot down, it clamps up on your leg. Thank goodness you're a construct and not a person. But you're basically it is bolted to the roof. So you're not going anywhere until you get out of this bear trap. But you do notice that there is one warehouse in particular that has more guards and more attention is being paid to it.
Okay. Well, I assume that eventually they will wonder why I have not returned and come looking for me.
Yes. And I'm going to also say that like this minor cost, the bear trap. Oh goodness. No, I think that you being stuck where you're at is good for now. Having to solve that problem.
Yeah. And I'm assuming it's not as simple as me just prying it open, so I'm not even going to try it because that wouldn't be much of a cost if I could use physique to open it.
Well, I tell you what we could do is we could make it a mild consequence, and you're able to kind of like, do that. So we can say like, chewed up leg.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, go ahead and add a mild consequence to your character sheet. Chewed up leg. Okay. And that seems fair to me.
Me too.
All right. Cool. So you guys now know what building is most important. What would you like to do?
I'm not sure we're going to get in there with force. There are lots of guards.
I could try to talk our way in.
I mean, do you know who she is?
Don't know if that'll help in this case.
Well, I don't think she ended up taking that too.
She did not take that.
She didn't, but she's got
stunt.
a fate point, and she didn't take a second stunt.
That's true.
Just reminding you that's an option on the table.
I actually think that would work against this.
Okay.
But we could say that we captured a automaton and we want to see if we can shut his magic down. Tell them the story of, we're testing our device to destroy magic.
Well, you could also say that you want to... well, the thing is, they're renowned for not having magical, they don't use magic in the building. I guess my next question is, are they, renowned for, shutting down magic? Or is it just a storage facility? Maybe what it is they don't use magic because it's a storage facility where they try to, nullify magic to keep dangerous items. And then you bringing an Enchanter's automaton and wanting to have it stored would make a lot of sense, because then it would, power it down, but they'd have to figure out how to do that safely because it does have that failsafe.
Thoughts? It's an option.
I'm not allowed to say whether I want to die or not.
Or we're here to retrieve something in the vault for the Enchanters.
There's that as well.
Do they store things here? I guess so. If that sounds a little bit easier.
Yeah. And the automaton's here to carry it, but we probably should do something about that mangled leg first.
Needs to look a little better.
Yeah.
I can take a look at the mangled leg and see if I can't.
New pair of pants.
Yeah. I'm wondering if, besides our cover story of trying to get in the vault, if maybe some kind of distraction to draw some of the guards away would be a bad idea. I'm reminded of Petra's predilection toward fire.
She's not a good person.
I seem to recall something in the recent past.
She believes herself to be a good person.
So, we have all these other warehouses besides the warehouse we want to get to. So if one of them were to be on fire, maybe we would draw some of the personnel away to make it easier to talk our way into where we want to be.
Perhaps we should set it on fire after we get through.
Well, not the building we want to go in. One of the other buildings.
Yeah.
Because I am conspicuous, maybe I should create the distraction at the other end of the warehouse, and the three of you can go investigate.
That sounds reasonable.
It would also further explain your mangled leg, but we should still probably do something about that. Fix him up.
Do you want me to take a look at your leg before you go off on your own?
If you think you can fix it.
I can try. I guess it's possible I could make it worse, but I don't think I'll make it worse.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a difficulty 4 crafts roll, and if you succeed, it will go from, what is it now, chewed leg? Or, I'm pulling out chewed up leg. It will be rewritten, but it'll still fill that mild consequence. So it'll be less of a detriment to Ed.
Or repaired leg, so it doesn't look as obvious, but it's still not fixed all the way.
Perfect.
Well, given the opportunity, I would try to fix it.
I think we should try to fix it. Or cover it or something.
Yeah.
All right. Also, how are you going to fix his leg?
I'm going to take a look at it, try to figure out what mechanically I can do with the tools and ephemera I have on hand in my bag, and see if I can't craft a brace or a repair to the fascia or equivalent that has been pierced by the trap he became caught in.
All right. Sounds good to me. Go ahead and make a crafts roll. Like I said, difficulty 4. And you got a 4. So that is success at a minor cost. Let's see.
You're sitting on lots of fate. Spend one of those fate.
Yeah. Could do that.
I'll spend a fate.
All right. Which aspect are you using to justify this?
I almost want to say the more I do this, the more I want out. Like I feel supremely empathetic towards someone indentured to, because at least on some level, this is my job. You know, I could leave, I guess. It would suck, but Ed's stuck. You know, Ed's trapped, and so I want to make Ed's situation, even if it's in a minor way, more livable. You know, more comfortable. So yeah, I would put in more efforts and maybe give myself a bit more to try to help someone that I feel trapped in this situation.
That is very touching. Spend the fate point and you're good. Jason, you can update that mild consequence to repaired leg or something thereabouts. All right. So, Ed, you're going to be making a distraction so that everybody else can get into the main warehouse. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. Ed, how are you making a distraction?
So I will go when I know the guards are going to be primarily or more to that end of the facility or to the end of the facility where the distraction is going to occur. I will actually stumble through the fence and start acting like I have glitched.
All right. So you are trying to deceive them into thinking that you are kind of like have gone wrong.
Well, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, that is technically what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to offer you a fate point, Ed. Like,
okay.
Ed, there's a lot of different ways you can approach this, but you've got a penchant for violence.
Yeah.
So you just figure like just starting to punch guards is probably going to create enough of a distraction.
All right. I'll just start hitting people at the other end of the warehouse.
All right.
And not like to kill anyone, but
yeah,
you know,
just like knocking them out and all of that.
Right. Unless of course they make me mad, then I'll kill them.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
well, there's that. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Yeah, you're sitting on a lot of fate points there.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, you didn't need to use a fate to have me do that. It was just a plain better idea.
Oh, okay. All right. Here, I'll just do that. All right. I'll take it back. All right. So the rest of you, Ed, before he left, he told you about how he was going to act like he was glitchy and everything. And then like you watch as he like goes through the fence, pretends to be glitchy a couple of times. Like no one's really like doing much. And then he just hauls off and starts smacking the guards. Not killing them, but definitely like smacking them around. You hear an alarm bell start to ring. Someone literally like ringing a bell. And you watch as some guards like head off. How are you getting into the warehouse?
Well, is there anyone watching the gate now?
Yeah, there are still some guards there. My question is like, are you trying to like fight your way through or are you trying to sneak your way in? I think that at this point, bluffing your way through is probably off the table, but you could convince me otherwise. But
yeah, sorry. I was assuming you were going to sneak once I created a distraction. I guess I should have made that more clear.
So are we? So are we? So there's a gate around a compound of several buildings, correct?
Yep.
Now we are not inside the gate. Somehow I got the impression we were inside the gate already. So we're outside the gate.
I'll say that you're inside the gate. That's fine. Like, Ed ripped a hole in the fence for you guys and then went off and ripped his own hole in the fence further down.
Okay. So we just need to get through the other buildings to the building we're looking for.
Yeah, you need to get in there. And I'm just kind of looking for a general idea right now. Like, so one thing I don't want to do is like get into the minutia of it. I just want to know like what's your approach to getting into the building.
So I would say probably sneak to get into the building of some sort.
Okay. All right. Who is going to lead this sneak? I'm assuming no one, because everybody has a stealth 0 except for Ed, which is going to be awesome. So now I ask, who's going to lead the sneak?
Could I craft a device that like is a sound dampening device, like to help us be quiet?
I want to skip ahead to getting inside the building.
Okay.
So
all right.
somebody give me a sneak roll, difficulty 1.
All right, I'll just go for it. I've been rolling well. Therefore, I'll be doomed.
There you go. All right. That's success at a minor cost. The minor cost is that... You know what? I'm going to skip the minor cost for right now. We've got about a half an hour left. All right. You get in at no cost. Congratulations. You get into the warehouse. As you enter the warehouse, there's kind of like a room where it's you see that there are kind of like nose plugs hanging. There are like clean like cloaks to kind of put on over top of you. And there's another set of doors to go in.
Well, I put on the cloak and grab the nose plugs.
All right.
I think we should all do that.
All right. All right. You do this, you go through the second set of double doors, like into like the warehouse proper. And you see that this warehouse, what you can see in the warehouse, there is like just a giant pile of like recently dead bodies. We're talking like dozens and dozens of dead bodies that are basically kind of like stacked up, like one on top of the other. It's the smell, even with the nose plugs, is just putrid and awful.
This is why I didn't join the Necromancy Guild.
Is there any kind of pattern to the way they're stacked, or does it just look like they're haphazardly thrown around?
Oh, they're not haphazardly. They were very intentionally stacked. There's like 2 bodies going one direction, then 2 bodies going the other direction to make it stable as it's being built up.
Is it
so that like
a platform or a structure of some kind?
As you're kind of investigating, make me an investigate roll. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 2.
Okay, investigation is
3.
Yes. Academics should be able to investigate things, and researchers. And we roll.
All right, that was an easy success. Zaxter, as you're and checking out these, towers of bodies and trying to figure out like why are they being stacked like this and everything, you notice something unusual. You notice that the typical like incisions that are made by so whenever you pull a soul out of a body, if you want to do something with it other than just like kill them and let the soul depart to the great beyond, there's a certain like pattern of incisions that you make so that it can kind of like pull the soul out into a receptacle, and then it can go from that receptacle into like future receptacles. Ed is very familiar with this process. You notice that the bodies, they have the incisions right like below the like ear, like behind the jaw right here, you notice that the bodies that you're looking at all have those incisions.
You articulate my findings so far, and it is clear I'm sort of puzzling over what this means.
I started looking around for a possible container they could be putting these souls into in this building or in the chamber that we're in.
Also, go ahead and make an investigate for me. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at 2 as you're looking around for this. That is a 1. So that is success at a cost, or you can start spending some fate points. Or just fail.
Success at a cost.
All right. Success at a cost. So also, as you're kind of like looking around, like beyond the kind of like the corpse buildings, things that are being made, you've grabbed like a torch off the wall because the inside isn't lit. It is, of course, an ever-burning torch, very common in the city. And you kind of like are looking around. As you do so, you see that beyond where you were able to see when you came in, you see that there is basically kind of like the beginnings of a standing army of automatons, just like Ed. They all look identical to Ed in construction. Basically what you're looking at is an army of automatons like built by the Enchanters Guild. Cause what you know about the Enchanters Guild is that they will, like, when someone who is indebted, who is kind of like dying of an illness, they will typically like put them into an automaton. And that's something that happens maybe like once a year. It's not like a really big or common thing. Based on the number of bodies that are here and the number of automatons, it is apparent that someone in the Enchanters Guild is really ratcheting up for war. And you probably guessed that those were not volunteers or indebted that are stacked up behind you. At this point, I would like to offer Petra a fate point. Mm-hmm. So Petra, I'm going to offer you a fate point on I don't trust me and you shouldn't trust me either. The compel is going to be that you know about this place. And you specifically, your mission was to specifically find out if Zaxter could find it. And now that he has, your job is to kill Zaxter.
I'm going to go ahead and pay you a fate point on that one.
All right, pay me a fate point for that. This is a surprise for you. You knew nothing about this.
Well, first up is I want to see if there's any collectible evidence or to figure out who's involved in it.
Interestingly enough, someone makes themselves known.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, I wasn't sure if it was going to be Petra's the bad guy or someone else was the bad guy. With one-shots like this, you can do that. All right, so the bad guy is a high-ranking enchanter named Oronzo. Okay, and what I'd like to know is learn a little bit about Oronzo. And I would like to start by asking, like, what about him is very memorable? Like scar over the eye, tattoos, the way he dresses, something memorable about Oronzo.
Are you asking anyone?
I'm asking anyone, yes.
Okay.
How about a scar across his throat, like his throat had been cut once?
Ooh, I like that. Scar across his throat. Excellent. All right. Anyone but Jared, because you just gave a great thing. What is Oronzo's kind of like magical implement? Like some wizards have staffs, some have wands, or more ridiculous things. But what is Oronzo's magical implement?
I think he has a pair of eyeglasses. Really haven't been invented yet, but he's got essentially eyeglasses that allow him to see fine details. But also, if he looks you in the eye, or if you look him in the eye, he reflects like the other enchanter suggestions and things back at you.
Ooh, very nice. I like that. Okay. All right. So, Candace or Chance, what kind of magic is Oronzo known for?
Manipulation.
Manipulation. Candace, Petra knows Oronzo. What is his, like, if he had a weakness, what would it be?
I think he is afraid of himself.
Talk about that a little bit more.
He does not want to look at himself in the mirror. He doesn't want to see any reflections. He wards himself against himself all the time.
Oh, okay. That really fits in with the like pair of glasses that reflect things.
Yep, that's what I was going on.
All right. Hey, nice. I like that. All right. So yes, so Oronzo, the clothes that he wears is incredibly fine. It is like golds and oranges. He has it set up so that the scar on his neck is very prominent. Like he wears necklaces like right underneath that basically kind of accentuate the scar across his throat. He believes that it makes him look more powerful because he's survived having his throat cut. And he basically says, Petra, I see that you've managed to collect up Zaxtor. It seems that you and Ossel have done an excellent job.
Why, yes. I was curious about the storage. Did we take a new contract?
We have many contracts throughout the city. It would not surprise me that you would not know of this. So I think that it's time for us to take care of our guest. And he kind of gestures towards Zaxtor.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I've kind of convinced him that he wants to help as she does her best to deceive him.
To deceive Oronzo.
Oronzo, yes. That they're all allies. I think he could be quite useful.
Go ahead and make a deceive. I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 5. It's going to be very difficult to deceive him. That is a 4.
You got that, Fate. You got this.
You know what? It's at the end of the night. I don't trust me, and you shouldn't trust me either. So I'm going to spend that fate point.
Now, how does I don't trust me and you shouldn't trust me work to get him to trust the people who are with you?
I figure because she is always deceiving people. She's got,
because she's always lying.
Yeah.
Or so. Okay. All right, I can see that. Spend your fate point. That takes you up to a 6. I, on the other hand, am going to spend a fate point. What did we determine? He is a master of manipulation. I'm going to add that aspect to the board. Actually, hold on. I'm going to add the bad guy to the board. This is Oronzo. And aspects... Master of Manipulation. and I'm spending a fate point on Master of Manipulation. No, he knows when he's being played. He knows when he's being played. So yes. No. You know what? I believe that they would be excellent allies. If the situation were different, if for whatever reason we were able to allow this to happen, had you not entered the warehouse, and he's looking at Zaxter, had you not entered this building, I do believe that we could have done great work together. But I think that in the time that we have remaining, I have to say that your brilliant mind will be missed.
Okay, I think Zaxter is just going to say something to the equivalent of "fuck you" and try some magic missiles.
All right,
and we're long, frustrating day.
All right, we are going to go into a conflict. It's probably going to be a pretty quick one given the time that we have, but we are going to handle initiative, popcorn initiative style. Jason, I know that your character is currently separate, but whenever we come to you, you can like bust into the warehouse, presuming that you've taken care of the guards, and you're kind of like checking on everybody to make sure that they're kind of okay. So the way that this is going to work is that that Zaxtor, whenever your turn is over, you get to pick who goes next. Okay, so that means that you can pick anyone who hasn't gone yet. So that is Oronzo and any of your fellow PCs. So Zaxter, it sounds to me like you're going to use lore to attack.
That's correct.
Yes. And Oronzo is going to defend.
Okay, so I go first, correct?
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll. I'm going to roll for Zaxter. Unfortunately, I can't add modifiers to my roll. I don't know why. Maybe, nope.
That's not a good roll.
I get a +3 to his defend roll, which he got a -1 on the dice. So that is a 2 against your 2. So if we leave it there, you get a boost.
I'm gonna spend a fate point here.
All right. What aspect are you going to spend a fate point on?
This is how do I want to put this? I'm going to do the independent magical investigator in part because no, actually, you know what? I'm going to do under guild pressure.
Under guild pressure?
Yeah, I've been in situations where I've needed to defend myself against guild members before. This isn't exactly my first rodeo.
Sounds good. Also, I think that you've been just fucked over by the Necromancers Guild and the Enchanters Guild for the last 24 to 48 hours. That's exhausting.
Yes.
All right. That is 1 point of stress. I'm going to go ahead and add stress for him out on the board. And who goes next? Zaxtor?
I feel like Petra should be the one to go next.
All right. Petra, what do you want to do?
Is there any glass in this room?
Define what you mean by glass.
Windows, bottles, glass.
Yeah, why not? Well, I don't think... yeah, why not? Yes.
Okay. I would like to create an advantage by trying to create a field of broken shards between us and what was his name?
Oronzo.
Oronzo.
Okay. That sounds great. That sounds like a create advantage. And the question is, you are trying to make a field in between. I'm
kind of broken shards, so it's kind of hard for him to walk through, and he may or may not catch his reflection. So
yeah, I'm gonna say in this instance, because you're an Enchanters Guild trained wizard, we'll use will for that. I'm gonna set the difficulty for that at a 2. I'll set it at 2.
All right.
And that is success with style. All right. So, broken shards. So now, just so I understand, is it like a whirling shards in the air, or just broken shards on the ground?
I was thinking like a whirling shards around him kind of thing.
Okay. Whirling broken shards. I've added that aspect, and it is going to have 2 free invokes on it because that was success with style. Awesome job. All right, Petra, who goes next?
Well, I believe that's Chance.
All right.
So,
I should probably just mention that if we let the bad guys go last, they'll pick themselves again potentially for the next round.
Shush, Jared.
Osel's fixated now on these automatons full of entrapped souls, and his thought is to set off the failsafes to blow up the warehouse and free the souls.
Oh.
So at least that's what he believes will happen. So could I get to kind of the center of the field of automatons and try to set off the failsafe on one of them to hopefully cause a chain reaction?
Ooh, I think that sounds good. You managed to, let's see. So with the shards of glass and everything, you kind of go around, you get into the center of the automatons and you kind of open up the chest on one of the automatons. And you see that there is a 5-digit number required to open that. If you want to, we can create an advantage with notice and do a flashback. Back to Pump and Iron, where when Petra was entering in the code, it's your store. You saw through the reflective mirror. You managed to catch what the code was, and that will help you be able to hopefully access the insides of this one. Whether or not it's the same code, who knows, but we can create an advantage with this flashback.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
All right. Notice, I'm going to set the difficulty for this at a 1. That is success. All right. I saw the code. Unless you'd like to name it something else.
No, that's perfect.
All right.
He got a 0, didn't he?
He got a 0 against a difficulty of 1. Well, oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
I was I'm the clueless one, so I was like, okay.
Sorry. Thank you. Brain. So, Ansel.
Ben's always going by the rules. Come on, Ben.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to spend a fate point to make that a success?
Yes, I definitely want to spend a fate point.
What aspect?
It could be. Really, honestly, it could be any of the 3 because this makes me incredibly sad to see that technology is being used to hurt people and entrap them. And also, I hate this fucking job. They're doing this to people. These people I work for, what is wrong with them? And so I'm gonna go with the trouble. I hate this job, and the people I work for have just once again proved themselves to be the worst human beings I could possibly imagine. And so if I can burn it all down, even at great personal cost, I'm going to.
All right. Sounds great to me. You made the aspect. Thank you, Jason, for pointing out that my brain had inverted those numbers. Listen, I'm not cheating you. It's a collective game. All right. So, Ossel, who goes next? The bad guy? You could always have who hasn't gone yet. Ed hasn't gone.
Ed and Orianzo, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Is it Orianzo? Yeah. I think just in my head, because we're in the building together, Orianzo would go next. Like we're all kind of in this compact space acting. So yeah.
Boo. All right. Let's see. Orianzo. Let's see. Orianzo looks at Petra and says, Petra, you're making a very terrible mistake. You know that I outrank you dramatically within the organization. Do you not want to advance? Are you not looking for a promotion? Because I am certain that you could go from bronze level to silver level with just making some good choices tonight. And then he kicks a shard of glass that's fallen. Like some of the shards of, not all of the shards of glass are flying. Some of them are actually broken, and kicks it towards Zaxtor. And he looks Zaxtor in the eye and says, slit your throat. He's going to make an attack against you to make you attack yourself.
Okay.
You can defend with will.
I will do that.
He is going to attack with will, which is +3. I rolled a -1 again, giving me a 2 result.
Let's see if I can do this properly.
That is a defend succeeding with style, and you get a boost.
Okay.
Tell me how you tell him no.
Something like, you pathetic, uneducated worm. I pry the secrets of reality out with my will alone, and you think you can make me hurt myself? Basically, I'm shaking his confidence.
Awesome. Great job. All right. Ed, it's your turn.
I assume I have no idea what's going on, and thusly I will just run in the door and try my best to assess the situation to see what a good advantage might be. Who has the best chance of, I don't know, getting us all out of here alive? And that's who I'll help.
Oh.
Does that work that way with guild programming?
I'm going to say, like,
I guess that's a good question. All of them appear to be in somehow related to the guild, except maybe Zaxtor at this point.
yeah, well, you know that, like, Ossel doesn't rank in your programming. Very, very low. Petra is the one that you were assigned to, but you see Oronzo, and you know that Oronzo, is the highest ranking enchanter here.
Okay. All right. So I will move between. Actually, what I'll do is move into the field of glass that's flying and try to shield Oronzo with my body.
All right. Go ahead and that's a physique. I'm going to set the difficulty for that at a 3.
Okay.
And this is going to be it sounds like a create advantage as you're trying to, actually, it sounds like you're trying to overcome and get rid of the whirling broken shards.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right. Which means that it's going to be, you're going to be rolling against Petra, who is trying to maintain it. So Petra, if you would please roll your will. Ed got a 4. Let's see what Petra gets. Petra gets a 2. So the whirling broken shards are actually gone now, as Ed has absorbed them. They've torn you up a bit, not in any like game mechanical sense, but you definitely have like a bunch of shards sticking out of you, and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Oronzo says, thank you, automaton. And Jason, you get to choose who goes next.
Well, Oronzo, clearly.
All right. Excuse me. I think that Aranzo is actually going to concede the fight. Things have evened up a little bit, and it looks like he's got a good escape pattern. He is an enchanter. He is going to concede the fight. He wants to get out of this situation because it's obvious that Petra has turned against the Enchanters Guild. This automaton is doing what it's supposed to, and there is going to be a problem. So Aranzo actually concedes. You win. What do you guys do with the building full of the automatons and bodies?
Oh, I'm still going to blow them up. Like, I still have every intention of blowing this place up so that these souls could be free and not be used for whatever nefarious, means.
Do you want to blow them up or use them as evidence that something terrible is going on?
Evidence against who?
Aranzo.
My assumption is Aranzo is just taking orders, and that we're just the lowly people who don't know about the bigger plan, and that it's some cigar-filled room. People are gathered around a table playing world domination, and we're just the pawns in their game.
How big an explosion would we be talking about? It's probably, based on what we heard, for Ed's side's explosion, it would be pretty terrible.
Well, it's probably going to take out the this warehouse complex. It might do some additional damage to some of the buildings that are nearby. But as evidenced by the bear trap, they're probably owned by the same people.
True. I mean, it's not going to blow up the city. Is I guess what I was trying to get at.
No.
Okay.
It's the mushroom cloud.
I'm going to assume that my job would be to get Aranzo and Petra, if possible, out of here safely.
Yes. Are you helping Aranzo or Petra get out safely?
Probably whichever one gives me the most convincing command, because I am technically under Petra's control, but I'm she's outranked by Aranzo. So.
Oh, Petra is definitely going to point out that this was not authorized and that she intends to report it beyond Aranzo.
Right, strongly worded.
I think Aranzo's orders to Ed are going to prevent them from following me. And so you can stay in the building and then help Petra.
Petra's definitely going to be, don't let Aranzo get away. He needs to answer to the higher ups for what is going on here.
Yes, but Aranzo outranks you, and Ed prevents you from following him. That's the concession for him to get away. But you've got all the evidence, even though you're going to blow it up. The magical fritz was being caused by all of these people being basically slaughtered and having their souls shoved into these automatons. Because it's a thing that doesn't happen very often, no one knew what the effects would be of doing this a lot. And it turns out it was shorting out magic in the nearby area. And so that's what was causing this magical fritz for the last few weeks. So you have successfully uncovered the source of it. And done a great job. I hope everybody enjoyed today's game.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for running, Randy. It's
I
great.
have one more thing to do. We're going to run maybe another 10 minutes. At the end of all of my games, I do something that I call wishes and stars, which is basically a review of the session. Wishes are things that you wish would have gone differently or wish could have been handled in a different circumstance. And stars are things that you liked about it, things that were awesome. And I'd like to hear at least something from everybody.
So it's kind of silly, but I really enjoyed my interactions with my neighbor. That was just fun comic relief and a bit of role playing.
That was nice. I like that.
I liked how, even though we were in a group together, and when we had aspects that pitted us against each other, those aspects were still used to pull out the flavor and story. So I enjoyed that. So.
Me too.
I wish we had played Necromancers because that would have been cooler. But no, I mean, seriously, I don't have anything for wishes that's legitimately nothing, not a complaint or a wish things have been different. I wish we could play again. How about that? And then stars, I really liked the sort of ends justify the means attitude of Petra, which was a lot of fun to see someone embrace the idea that they're not the good guy in a game like this.
But they thought they were the good guy.
True. But the player embraced the idea that they're not.
I'm definitely the good guy in this.
I was actually waiting for a reveal that Petra wasn't doing the right thing so much as seeing this was her opportunity to take his place.
That was actually my next plan. If I had gotten a chance to respond to his line, that I was going to say, I mean, yeah, of course I'm going to go up after you're gone. Your spot's going to be open.
This is how promotions work.
On the wishes end, I wish there was a little bit more team cohesion, but it's a one-shot, so that's not really expected in a first game. Usually takes a while to knock that out.
Yeah.
But I also like the just kind of the creative engineering kind of aspects of it too.
Talk a little bit more about what you mean by creative engineering.
The using the trap souls and the different mechanical, like everyday, like flavor of the world.
Awesome. Cool. I have to say the thing that I liked most about this session is that you weren't all on the same team. Like, I loved the friction of the different dynamics of the characters. You know, Petra is completely on board for the Enchanters Guild. Zaxter is absolutely not, and is only there because he keeps being captured. You know, Chance, your character, why can't I get Ossel? Ossel was like hated his job, but like he's like I'm blue collar. You know, I'm an enchanter. This is what I do. And I like that Ed was like just straight, but we still had that moment where we got to see like Ed's indebted soul saying like, no, I don't like this. I think that all of the characters that all of you brought to the table were just so amazing and played really well with each other. And you all did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's a good time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.